Hello, hello. It's been a while. I've been on a hiatus. I got pretty busy. I had to work a lot of overtime and a few other things. I've been looking for a new apartment and I got involved in some new projects. So I've been pretty busy, but we're going to get back into it. We're going to get back onto a streaming schedule. In the meantime, if you're in chat, let me know how the audio level is right now. So here we have the game audio coming through now. Is that too loud? Let me know. In the meantime, I'm going to do some things in the background real fast. Let me know how the audio sounds, and then we'll get started in a minute here. I'm going to react to this elephant graveyard video that's been kind of making the rounds online. I guess this is about the Austin comedy scene, like the Joe Rogan comedy scene. So, I mean, I don't know if it's good or bad. I just know a lot of people are talking about this video, so we'll give it a shot. We'll see what it's like. We'll see what they're talking about. I had to download an update for this game, and then when I signed in, I was blown away by the graphics, like a huge graphical update. I guess. I don't entirely know how that works with video game programming, because it's not like they can go back and retroactively like update all these character models and stuff. So they must be working with the same character models. I don't know how you improve the graphics on existing character models. So that's one skill I want to learn eventually. I want to get into video game development design. So that'll be interesting if and when I ever get around to it. I want to learn how to use Unreal Engine. Initially, I think I had like a copy of Unreal Engine 4, I want to say it was. But I think Unreal Engine 5, or is it 6 now, is the current one. Back in 2014. So Unreal Engine 5 comes out 2020. Okay, so Unreal Engine 5 is the new one. And I think at the time period when I was like thinking about making a video game, I was thinking about working with Unreal Engine 4. I figured it might be easier to program on, and I didn't want to. I think there's a lot of there probably is still more resources for Unreal Engine 4 than there is for 5, just by virtue of it being out longer. But at this point, Unreal Engine 5 has been around since May 2020. So, I mean, that's something I'll have to do some research into to see which one is worth it or not for me. If I want to design games for like current consoles, I may have to go with Unreal Engine 5. I don't really know. I don't know if you can program in Unreal Engine 4 and then use it to make games for, like the current consoles. I don't immediately see why that couldn't be the case, but I don't really know much about video game engine, like how they work. I have a good amount of 3D modeling experience. I could create 3D models, I can draw well and everything, but I have a somewhat of a rudimentary programming background. But every program's different, and video game program, like game engine software, is its own beast, right? Anyways, we're going to play as Astra. I'm going to be honest, I made her name and I don't even know how to pronounce it. It's supposed to be like a combination of Aether, or like the ether, like the luminiferous ether, what they used to call like what they used to call space back in the day before they realized that it was actually kind of more of a vacuum. They thought space was made up of like some sort of material called ether. And then it's also, so it's a combination between that word and then astra, which is like star, like astronomy, right? So a combination of those words is like, I feel like it was Star Wars appropriate, but it was also very like, it's a pretty name, you know? It's a pretty name for a female character, I think. I had to clear some disk space on my computer too, because I had, when I was downloading this update. Oh, what's going on here? Hundreds of new hair colors added to Cathar, Chiss, Human, Cyborg. Oh, what the hell? What? Hundreds of new options? Are you kidding me? Do I have new hair for... No. I'm kind of curious with the haircut. Holy crap. I might have to go through and like redo all my characters' hairs now. See, like, they only had so many shades of gray before, and some of them look kind of weird and unnatural. Like, they just didn't really blend with the skin tone right. So now you have a lot of different options for like different variations of gray, so these will work a lot better. Okay, and when they say hundreds of options, they mean spread out across all these different species. You can now play as multiple eligible roles at once. Ability to play as separate. Oh, that's kind of cool. I wonder why they didn't have that before. Story cutscenes will now auto-skip when accessed via Activity Finder. I don't know what that means. Does that mean when you do like those Flashpoint missions where you're like playing with other players? Does that mean that that they'll automatically skip the cutscenes? That's what annoys me when you play like flashpoints or like multiplayer missions with like other players in the game, where it like has the like team finder thing. Is a lot of them just want to like run through those missions over and over again so they can like farm whatever currency or whatever in the game. And it's like, if you're a player and you're playing that mission for the first time, it's kind of rude to like not let the new players, you know, play out that storyline. I think maybe the good compromise would be like okay, you haven't played that Flashpoint yet. Like, you tell the team when the mission starts, like, hey, I haven't played this yet, so like, okay, cool, we'll give you time to actually like listen to the story, not skip the cutscenes and stuff like that. And then if you are someone who has played through them, then like everybody can kind of agree, like, okay, we'll just like we'll skip through the cutscenes so we can like wrap up the mission really quickly. All right, I am just eating a cup of noodles right now, but in the meantime, let's get this this elephant graveyard video started. We'll kind of get an idea of what the context is.
Just by thinking about it. Meet Base 44, a complete AI creation.
Well, all that comedy investigation into the rise of the comedy czar's hell world was exhausting. I had to get the hell out of there. So I've been out at my cabin just trying to think about something else for a change. Problem.
Guy has a pretty cool cabin. I like to do some camping in my spare time. I haven't really had a lot of time this year, unfortunately. There's been a lot of big changes in my life. I'm not super familiar with this guy's content. When I saw other people talking about it online, it was almost like he was a known quantity in this space, but I've never really heard of him. What I will say though is like most of my content so far has not really been prepared content, and I respect prepared content because it takes time to produce like good prepared content. You know, what I'm doing is like live streaming. It's really easy. The game, you know, I have a game on screen for like visual interest, and then I'm playing other people's videos in the background for visual interest. Whereas if I'm making like a whole video from scratch, prepared content, I gotta like make graphics. I gotta do a lot of audio mixing. I gotta think about like pacing. You know, you gotta think about like a script maybe, right, to make like good quality pre-recorded content. All right, so it looks like his oldest video is from 3 years ago. Brennan Schwab bets on himself is another name that I'm familiar with, but I don't really know why. Dead men don't tell tales. Define bullying for me, Brennan Schwab. Wow, this guy Made a lot of videos on this Brendan Schwab guy, huh? Instrumental, does that mean he made this song himself? That's kind of cool. Maybe. A child like you, Bill Maher, Torrance, Bellathorn at Vile Club Random. Club Random, that popped up as a name. Is Club Random like Bill Maher's club or something? Comedy club? What is this place? Bill Maher? Oh, that's the name of his podcast. Okay. All I know about Bella Thorne is like she was a Disney actress. I think I think she was like a child actress when I was like a teenager. So she's a little bit after my generation. I know that she was kind of a sex symbol for a while there. And I know that she kind of had some like adult content or something along those lines. Um, I wouldn't put it past Bill Maher to be weird, because he's a bit of a gooner and he's like not shy about it. I'm not gonna watch this video because I just don't have time for it. But okay, that's interesting. An antidote to suffering: the metamorphosis of Jordan Peterson. People will say like, "Oh, Jordan Peterson, he's not what he used to be," or something like that, or like the old Jordan Peterson. And it's like, no, Jordan Peterson's always been kind of like out there. It's just that maybe you didn't see it, you know. If you're one of those people that was like a big Jordan Peterson fan, maybe you didn't see all of kind of the craziness until I guess the whole thing is when you're a public figure, the more and more exposure you get, like the more likely it is that someone's going to come across like your worst moments, right? There's more opportunity for you to expose yourself. But he's always been kind of a loony guy. I think sometimes way back in the day when he was first on the scene, sometimes people would like cherry pick uh, things that he would say or do, and it was like, oh, he just wants young men to get better. He just tells them, cute, clean your ears and brush your teeth, young man, and make your bed. And it's like, yeah, I mean that's part of it, but there's a lot more, and there always has been a lot more about his rise to fame than just like telling people innocuous, like standard fare life advice, right? There was a lot more to him, and the reality is that wasn't why he got popular, right? There's a million and one different life coaches, self-help gurus that are out there and have been out there for decades, right? Why Jordan Peterson got popular was because of the whole Bill C-16 in Canada, which he misrepresented. It was a bill about discriminating against trans people. It's very similar to what you have in the United States, where we have anti-discrimination law, and it regards to like protected classes. And so I think Bill C-16 just basically defined transgenders as a protected class. And so if you were harassing them, then that could you can get maybe punished for that or whatever. But it's not like it's not the way he made it out to be. It's one of those things where you are like in an active effort to harass someone, right? If you work with someone, right, and they're transgender, and you're constantly like, this person identifies as a she, right, and you're constantly like, oh, him over there, he, him, and like you're doing it in order to kind of like get under this person's skin, disrespect them. That's a form of harassment, right? Harassment in a workplace setting can be a variety of different things, right? It doesn't have to be just over race or ethnicity or gender or sex. Um, and workplace harassment, it's not really like an okay thing. You get fired for it. So if you're harassing someone and the way you're doing it is by just like constantly berating their gender identity, then I don't think you should get an out on that. Now, if you want to like hold your position that transgender people are invalid or whatever, like that's your right to do that, right? But when you're at a work site, when you're at a job, um, when I work, for example, right, you have to work with people that you don't get along with. Sometimes you have to work with people who have different personalities. When you're working with other people, you have to kind of like reel yourself in and kind of like um, take a step back, compromise a little bit in order to be able to work with people without it descending into people attacking each other all the time. So you got to kind of have to put up with things. And so if you're in a workplace environment and you disagree with transgender people, that's cool. Be anti-trans outside of work, but when you're in work, you have to respect your coworkers. You have to respect the people that come into your shop and stuff like that, right? Um, so he made a big poo-poo out of nothing, the whole Bill 16, C-16 thing. That's why he was popular. It wasn't because he told people to like take a shower. Okay. Anyways, so every dog has its day. I'm trying to figure out if like I know this guy from somewhere, but I can't say that I'm familiar with any of like these videos or anything. But I mean, I guess he's been around for a while. Granted, the thing about prepared content is you can see like over 3 years, I have like more videos than this guy probably does at this point. But like my videos are low effort. They're streaming me playing video games. If you're making prepared content, it takes time, and so you have someone like this who only puts them out probably every few months, I want to guess. And that's fine because when he does put stuff out, it's like it takes longer to do, but it's of a much higher quality, right? Okay, well, anyways, it kind of seems like this is part of another series with this whole comedy czar thing. I feel like this is like the part one of this, and I'm wondering if maybe I should watch this video too, or if I watch this video first.
At Fiverr, we know.
But I guess we'll find out. The American Quakening. Oh, the Quakers are really cool. At least that was my impression of them when I studied history. The Quakers, way back in the day, I had like in middle school or something. We had an assignment where every student had to basically pick a state out of a hat, and whatever state you got, you had to like write a report on the state, talk about its history, talk about its culture, talk about like, whatever interesting things there are about the state. And so I got Pennsylvania, and what I learned from that was, actually, no, I'm sorry, this didn't come from me having that project in school. This actually came, I took AP US Government History in high school. That's where I learned about this. So in AP US Government History in high school, the book that we read, like it really got into pretty good detail, as much detail as you can get into for like a 1 semester college, or not college, but a high school, or semester, but 1 year high school course where you're trying to cover all of U.S. history and government in one year, right? 1 school year. So, I mean, it got into pretty good detail when it comes to like the history of the formation of the states, and even talked about, I like this a lot about that textbook, it talked about the Native Americans who existed before the colonies were there, and like in a pretty good amount of detail, considering like you only have so much time to go over all that material. So like they initially went over like the different colony or different tribes of the Native Americans that lived in the United States at the time, and the areas that were the colonies. I think it even just spanned the entire United States. Granted, of course, like that's a whole course, that's a whole study on its own, right? But I thought it did a good job of like giving a good overview of the different tribes and the different cultures and different religions, stuff like that, and kind of like the relationships they had with each other. But then you go to like the formation of the colonies, and the cool thing about Pennsylvania, right? I believe Pennsylvania, yeah, it's the Quaker state, right? Pennsylvania was that the Quakers were fleeing religious persecution. So when they established the colony that they established it. They were like, hey, we don't want to do this to other people. We fled religious persecution where we came from. So we don't want to establish our colony to do the same thing to other people. We will basically be a safe haven for other religions. And that's how it was. And I thought it was like super base. It was like, oh, that's really cool. Like this was the state that was practicing separation of church and state and religious toleration before the Constitution was even drafted, right? And you could probably make a case that some of the strong influence for having, freedom of religion in the United States in the First Amendment was probably due to, how Pennsylvania had evolved over that time period. Anyways, okay, let's see this intro that's going on here.
There's no free will, and I don't really get to choose what to think about. Been thinking about a lot of different things, but seems like for every question I try to answer, I end up with 10 more. It's getting ridiculous. But mostly, the question that still haunts me every day is, how did comedy get so shit? Was it ever good? Why the hell do I even know who this guy is? And why for a moment, before my brain kicks in, does it seem normal that he's hanging out inside that sacred space at the center of the comedy universe? The comedy mothership green room.
And how hard we laugh in that green room. And
it's the most fun.
And the best thing about the green room is how restrictive it is.
Oh yeah, I love restrictions.
That you just can't go in there. You got to earn that spot in the tree.
I love Ron White, by the way. Ron White, This is a cool thing about Ron White is that he was part of the what do they call them? There's like a group of a few comedians back in the day, but they were like redneck country comedians, and Ron White was one of them. But what I really liked about Ron White was he was not like a typical like country boy kind of thing. Like he was a pretty like liberal guy. Like he didn't really give a shit. He would joke around a lot about like being gay and like doing gay things. And I think part of it was he was just kind of challenging the audience to be like, hey, like we could be lighthearted about like this gay stuff. Like it's not really that big of a deal. So I really appreciate that about him. And he was just genuinely pretty fucking funny. He was like out of pocket. He almost no topic was out of bounds. He had good comedic timing, had good jokes and stuff. I really liked him a lot. Had an opportunity to see him one time, but no one else wanted to go with me. Um, so I should have just gone by myself. But I think back in those days, I was a little bit nervous about doing things, without having like someone, riding with me to do things. If I was afraid of doing things on my own. And by the way, if you're a young person watching this, get used to the idea. I wish I would have challenged myself to do this earlier in life. Get used to the idea, like genuinely do this. Get used to like going out and doing things just on your own. You want to explore like a new bar, like as long as it's safe, right? Don't like go somewhere you're gonna get like uh ganged up on and beaten or something like that. But you know, go to that bar, right, by yourself. Go to the movies by yourself. Go to a comedy show by yourself. Go explore an area by yourself, right? Again, be safe, but like get used to doing things on your own without having to have like a friend tagging along. Because I think, the thing is like life is only so long and you're going to get old and you're not going to have the energy and you're not going to have the health to do things. Don't wait around for to have other people with you to do things. Like embrace life, go do things, go experience things. But also, it helps build up your confidence to be able to, go to a place without having to rely on other people. It builds up your ability to like make friends and to be self-reliant and to be able to like, you know, it it's a good quality to have. It's a good skill to have to be able to be someone who can navigate new spaces, new areas, um, by yourself, and being able to make conversation with strangers, being able to be resourceful enough to be in a new area and figure out where you need to go to, figure out how things are going on, right? And a lot of that honestly just comes down to like asking other people questions. And you'll be surprised like how helpful other people are if you just like ask them questions like, "Oh, hey, I'm looking for this thing. I'm not really, maybe you shouldn't say I'm not from around here, but like I can't really find this place. Like, would you give me a hand? Do you know where this is at? Oh, sure, it's actually over here, right?" Like people will help you out. It's once you start getting used to it, you'll build up your confidence, you'll build up your ability to talk to people, to talk to a wide variety of different kinds of people. And then when you're in situations in life where you might feel like a bit of a fish out of water, like you're going to be able to handle that versus someone who's been, kind of sheltered. And if you're a young man, right? Young men right now have like a loneliness crisis, and they have, a lot of them have issues like talking to women and stuff like that. Get used to not even just going into conversations looking to pick up on women, but just get used to talking to strangers and just striking up conversation with strangers and relating to strangers and knowing how to like make them laugh and relate to them and stuff like that. If you get used to just that process of being able to talk to different people, then your ability to talk to a woman will flow from that naturally, right? But I think the key is, if you're someone who struggles with like talking to women or talking to new people, go into those social environments without the pressure on yourself to succeed, right? Just go in casually without expectation, like, oh, I may meet people, I may not meet people, I may strike it off with people, I may not, right? Go into those conversations with a woman without the idea that, oh, I have to get her number, I have to date her, I have to make her like me. Just go in casually, and I guarantee you that if you get used to just talking to people, you'll have more success like generating interest from women, if you get used to that, because like women will pick up on it if you're someone who feels like casual and calm and like easy to get along with, and like you're not putting pressure on people, or like you feel comfortable in your own skin because you're not trying to like, you know you don't have like a mission in mind, like you're just in the moment, right? Get used to that. It's really good.
House, and so anytime you open the door, you'll see, some of the best comics alive. That's our little space, man, and it is the greatest thing on earth.
It's just impossible to make sense of anything going on here. And I can't help but feel like I must be living on another planet. I needed guidance. That our cerebral...
Which, by the way, Ron White, I feel like Ron White is a person who would be anti-Trump. And I don't dislike Donald Trump. Oh no. Oh, this might just be the setup for like a joke, though. Okay, he defended Stephen Colbert for his Trump joke. It may be that I don't know. I mean, maybe Ron White hasn't gone too partisan on the topic, and I don't blame him for that, right? Not everybody needs to be like a super politically engaged like commentator or anything. I respect people who can genuinely, right? Not the people who pretend and they fake it, but people who genuinely are like, like I'm trying, like I don't really know too much about politics. I'm not really like a political expert, and I'm not trying to pretend that I am, right? I can respect people like that. So I don't really have a problem with that necessarily. Um, but if Ron White was like a big Donald Trump, dick rider, then I'm gonna be honest, I would lose some respect for him, unfortunately. But he just doesn't seem like the type. Is Ron White pro-Trump? Who are your wait, is Ron? I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't look this up. I'm gonna like feel despondent. But I don't include him. I realize he was still alive. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if he's actually pro-Trump. This Redditor's kind of saying so, but I don't know if they actually know that or not. I'm just gonna say that he's probably just kind of a person who probably isn't really sound off one way or the other on it too much, and I think that's okay. But it probably actually kind of tells you something. Like most country like redneck people are gonna be pro-Trump, right? And so Ron White like exists in that world in that space. So if he's not like rabidly pro-Trump, it almost makes you think like maybe he's anti-Trump, but he just kind of keeps it to himself because like if it like it would be really easy for him to be like outwardly pro-Trump because of like all the other people that he's surrounded by, right? So if he's not like outwardly pro-Trump, then that probably says something, I would think. But who knows? I don't really know.
Cerebral comedy guru David Lucas once told us that after his shows, we'd be thinking a lot.
My jokes are very cerebral. So if you come to my show, I might say a lot of crazy shit, but on your drive home, you're gonna be thinking a lot.
And his wisdom is kind of what sparked this whole investigation into the comedy world, but I knew I needed to start thinking even more. So I wanted to go out and see David's act, and hopefully start to try and put all these
Oh no, my game
pieces
crashed. Alright, let me
together,
restart this game real
understand what's
fast.
really going on at the heart of it all.
It's been a while since I played, by the way, so I thought I was on Aldaraan with this character, but it looks like I might be on Tatooine, which is, oh my god, my favorite planet, right? Every Star Wars fan's favorite planet, Tatooine. Obviously, I'm joking. If you don't know, like most Star Wars fans are just like tired of Tatooine. Because I don't know why, like Disney has this idea, and like a lot of Star Wars creators over the years have had this idea that like Tatooine is what makes Star Wars, and it's like, no, Tatooine is just one planet in a world with all kinds of different planets to explore. And most Star Wars fans want to like explore the wider galaxy. We don't want to just keep coming back to Tatooine. Like Tatooine is not what made Star Wars Star Wars. It's a part of it, sure, but it is absolutely not like an integral part that like makes Star Wars Star Wars. It annoys me. It annoys the hell out of me.
Now There's a lot of great stages out there, but for me,
Life
my
is a
favorite venue
stage.
in the entire world, hands down, is a legendary Massey Hall in Toronto. Its stage has been graced by the presence of the most iconic, influential, and beloved artists of multiple generations. Gordon Lightfoot, Oscar Peterson, Charlie Parker, Joni Mitchell, Neil Young, Patsy Cline, Bob Dylan, Ella Fitzgerald, Aretha Franklin, Rush. Now, I don't know who any of these people are, but my dad says they're very important. I even saw my first ever stand-up comedy show there, Jerry
Ho ho
Seinfeld,
ho! He made a big jokey joke.
when I was just a wee lad. It's the oldest and most iconic venue in Canada, and performing there has long been considered a landmark event in one's career. And finally, in 2025, the strength of her stage's mythical hardwood planks would truly be put to the test, as the Killers of Kill Tony, including massive comedy success David Lucas,
I'll put my hand in my ass and make you smell it.
would be taking the stage for what promised to be a wonderful comedy event. So I watched the show. When it was over, you know what? He was right. I was thinking a lot.
Turn on audio recording in the Uber app for added peace of mind on any ride.
What the hell?
I was thinking about
I get annoyed sometimes when I watch YouTube videos on my YouTuber account because I don't have premium on that account. I get commercials, but I pay for YouTube Premium, but that's for my personal account that I have separate from my YouTuber account. So I don't know. I mean, I guess I could watch these things on my personal account, but it just gets kind of messy because I'll visit like the YouTube Creator Studio when I'm logged in under my YouTuber account, and so it's like I have to like switch between the two. So I don't know.
how bizarre it was that these low-level, no offense, but subhuman cretins were able to perform at such a hallowed theater, wondering perhaps if I was the fool for giving the venue such reverence all these years. I pictured the ghosts of all my heroes standing on stage behind David, shaking their heads, not at David, but at themselves for being such fools, for thinking that making it to that iconic stage had meant something to them, that it meant something about their career, their art, and about the legacy they've left behind after they died. Poor Gord. I hated to see that. Seeing David's show only made me feel more confused about what the hell is going on with all this comedy stuff. And on that drive home,
It's probably gonna sound bad, but I've become really addicted to like the merchant ramen, hot and spicy chicken. I just in general, I just love spicy things. Like hot Cheetos are like my favorite snack. I'll put like spicy sauces and on like all the food that I eat. I know it's bad, by the way. Like I know like you can overdo that kind of thing, and I probably do. But I mean, what can I say? Okay, it's good.
really was thinking, why does everything that ever seemed good, like when I was a kid, now seems to be rapidly deteriorating into utter shit? And when I looked around at the other people in attendance at that show, evidently enjoying themselves, why did it feel like I was in another dimension? I tried putting a comedy podcast on, but all of them were just interviews with like the CIA or the FBI or some other guy.
This is a really good point to point out, and I wish people would point out more. I mean, I'm starting to see people point this out more. These comedy podcasters have for a long time been talking about, you know, the deep state this and the mainstream that and the mainstream media, and the media is in bed with like the politicians, and you know, everybody, it's all a big club and you're not a part of it or whatever, right? But then you look at their podcast and yeah, like it's nothing but like Republican politicians, Republican influencers, Republican media personalities, like, and it's like it's all of it. Like that's all it is. And actually, let me take a step back. Maybe I'm wrong because I don't regularly watch these podcasts, but it seems like every single guest, like 99% of their guests, are just either politicians from the Republican Party or they're members of the right-wing media, you know, organizations. Either they're from Fox News or they're from like alternative right-wing media, or they're like some sort of conspiracy theorists, and all the conspiracy theorists are all supportive of the Republican Party too. Or they have on like their friends or other guests or like MMA fighters, and all of them are right-wing MAGA people, right? So it's like you guys are the exact thing. You've claimed everybody else's. What the hell?
Guy that works for the president. Like, what the hell was actually going on here? I couldn't relax until I figured it out. In my quest for clarity, I even, and I'm ashamed to admit this, but I even went on the sacred pilgrimage to Comedy Mecca and visited the comedy spaceship down in Austin, Texas. I paid about $800 for a ticket. My ticket said something about a mandatory drink, but I'd lost the stub and couldn't remember how many I was dictated to have. The vibe in there was so tense, I thought I might get.
Is that legit? Is it really $700 for a freaking ticket? That's insane. That's crazy, crazy insane. Like, for a bit of context, right? People talk about how expensive concerts are. They had Outside Lands in San Francisco a few weekends back. It was like 2 weekends back. And that was like, um, you know, like every day, and that's a 3-day event, but every day was like, I don't know, like a dozen or so artists. So you're paying to see like a dozen different bands, and imagine like each set that they put on is probably an hour long. So like you're getting a lot of content, and these are like professional musicians. And that just for a single day, I was only thinking about going for a single day because 3-day passes are like more expensive, and it's a matter of like what do I want to spend my money on. But for a single day pass, it's like 260, which sounds like a lot, right? But when you consider that you're going to a music event that's going to have like a dozen different artists, because you could pay that same amount or more and see like Taylor Swift or see Beyonce or see like one of the big name artists, right? Which I rather not do. Like it doesn't seem like a good use of my money. But if you're paying like around that same amount, but you're seeing like 12 or so or more different music artists, like for me that feels worth it, right? Because if you think about it, like what is like a reasonable ticket price to go see like a musician or a band sound like to you? To me, from back in my day, right? I know things are different now and inflation and everything. To me, that would be like, 25, maybe $30. Okay, cool. But if you take 20 or $30 and you multiply it by 12, if you multiply 30 by 12, that's $360. So that actually is pretty reasonable when you think about it in that regard. Now, of course, not every artist on that lineup is like the greatest artist of all time, right? You're kind of getting like, maybe what you would consider like your B tier artists. You're not getting like that S tier like Taylor Swift, Beyonce. But I'm gonna be real with you. I'm not super impressed by, oh, this artist is like super famous. I like to see like I like different musicians. I like music that I'm not hearing everywhere else. I like the artists that are a little bit more underground. And if you open up your mind to that, by the way, like you're gonna find a lot of great music out there that you haven't heard before. It's just that they're just not radio popular. Like who cares, right? But $700 to go to a comedy show, that's fucking wild. What is it? What is this place called again? Hold on.
Literally, my ticket said something in Texas. Image to Comedy Mecca, and
The Comedy Mothership. Let's look this up. By the way, god damn it, this is what the internet was really for, and it's so disappointing to me. When I was a kid, I was in that generation that was kind of first pioneering like the early internet, the early commercialized internet, right? And I had this idea like, oh, the internet's going to set the world free because it's going to allow people to have like the ability to talk to different people. So it's going to break down our barriers, and it's going to give people the ability to like learn anything that they want at their fingertips without, having like the information is free and it's easily accessible. Like how wrong was I, by the way? But it does have that potential. When you don't know something, when you don't know a word, when you're not sure about something, when you don't know a fact check, so like it's in front of you and it's so easy to do. Just look it up. I wish people would do that more. And if you cannot take anything else away from watching my channel, take that away from my channel, is that there's a world of information out there at your fingertips that people from thousands of years ago would have killed to have access to. And it's right there in front of you. And a lot of you don't take advantage of how much you can learn from the internet. It's not just for watching TikToks, right? All right, let's see how much they charge to get tickets. Okay, I mean, I imagine it probably varies by show. Okay, so I mean, these are $50. So 35, 50. I mean, these aren't bad, I guess. I do wonder though that these ones that are sold, oh, they do Oh no, they won't tell you how much they cost. I wonder if these ones that are sold out are more expensive. Like maybe when he went to see someone who's like a big name headliner like Dave Smith, who I don't like by the way, but um maybe those are the ones where it gets really expensive. But like these on your average night, it looks like it's actually running you close to like 50 or 60, which to me is still a little steep, but I guess, if this is like the big comedy venue right now, then maybe that makes sense. I'm not super deep into the world of comedy, so I don't really know. 35. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't seem that bad. What does he mean by 700? That bothers me, you know? That bothers me. Where's he, like, he may have a lot of good points, but if he's going to be lying about that, it's not cool. And there's just no reason to lie about that. Unless it's like was he talking about a Kill Tony show? Because maybe those Kill Tony shows are expensive. I know those are like really popular right now. Joe List. I have no idea who these people are. What? Who's Joe List? Who's Dave Smith? Who are these people? Back in my day, it was Dave Chappelle. What happened to Dave Chappelle? What happened to Ron White? Right? I'm joking. I'm just being stupid. Like boomers are always like, "Who are these artists? Like, what happened to Elvis? What happened to Michael Jackson? What happened?" Which nothing wrong with those artists or anything like that. But it's like, yeah, I mean, you're old and you're not really in touch with like the new generation that's here now. It doesn't mean that the new generation is like bad or anything. It's just, it's beyond your time now. Okay, I mean, I don't know where he's getting 700 from. I can't find a show unless it's like this Kill Tony crap. That's how far out there are these things booked? Oh, they just have events like every single night. Which, hey, I mean, more power to you, I guess. October. Oh, Gabriel and Glacius. Okay, they don't have a an image for him. Okay, pretty racist. The only Mexican guy on here, and then that's pretty rude. I'm just joking. I know that's probably not on purpose. I don't even know if Gabriel Iglesias is Mexican. Who's the real racist person here? Not me. I would never. Okay. American. I mean, he sounds. Yeah, Mendez Iglesias sounds Mexican. He is Mexican heritage. Yeah. Okay. I would know. I am of the. I'm of the cinnamon persuasion. We're not brown people. Okay, we're cinnamon. It's tasty. I would say we're brown sugar, but that's kind of reserved for my black peoples. Oh my god! By the way, been nothing but tangents this entire stream. One of my favorite R&B songs. Oh my god, it's such a good song. Oh, I'm not even able to play it, am I? I think I could play a few seconds, right? How many seconds of music can you stream? Can you play on a YouTube stream? Oh, there's no specific number. So I don't know what's the rule of thumb that people go by. Even 1 second can be a violation. Well, it'll tell me. It'll give me the option to silence it. If here, brown sugar. There's an old school you had like this strain of movies in like the early 2000s. They were like these like black rom-com movies. I know this because my uncle was really into them. Like that was his whole thing. Um, but I really liked the aesthetic back then. It had a really cool aesthetic. They had like good music. Obviously, everybody was like really attractive, and just something about the cinematography. Something also about like the cinematography of like the music videos from the early 2000s. A lot of the hip hop artists were also really good. So, but um, Brown Sugar. There was a movie, one of the rom-coms called Brown Sugar. I don't remember if it was any good or anything. I don't know if I ever watched it actually. And this dude was like super popular at the times. What was his name? Taye Diggs? Which I think Taye Diggs is like a short king. Like he was like he was like the it guy for like black rom-coms back in the early 2000s, but like he was a short king, if I remember correctly. Tay Diggs, height, 5'10". Oh, okay, never mind. I mean, by Hollywood standards, right? Because he would look kind of shorter, but you have to remember everybody in Hollywood is like 7 feet tall. But yeah. But anyway, so this song comes from that movie. It was like on the soundtrack. It's by Mos Def, which is a really cool artist. I like Mos Def, by the way. Oh my God, the instrumentals for this song are so good. They're just so good. Okay, you gotta listen to this. Hold, check this out.
What makes someone's work a work of art?
Art takes countless.
Yeah, Kev Love, Brown Sugar, about to set it like, yeah, yo, yeah.
What a good song, right? Let's pause for a few seconds so they don't copyright strike me. Okay.
Yeah, y'all. Just my mic so I can touch it up right quick. Show them how Brooklyn do, you know what I mean?
Fire song right there, right? If you're not turned on to Mos Def, you need to get with the program, okay? Does Mos Def? I know he retired from music, but has he ever like come back and done some shows? I would love to go see like a Mos Def show, Mos Def tour. No way. Is he back to touring? Is this legit? No way. No. Okay, no, never mind. So what is this? No, no way. Is he really? What the hell? That's so cool. Oh man. It'd be cool to check out one of his shows. Okay. I want to find out like one of these Kill Tony shows. I feel like maybe this is what he's talking about because his Kill Tony ones, I even heard a coworker talking about like, oh, I want to go see Kill Tony or some shit. I don't know. How much is a Kill Tony show at the Comedy Mothership? This is from a year ago. Is this even asking? Oh, how to get one. I want to know how much is it. I don't know how much they pay. Every time I go, my fiance I spend about 80 to 100 bucks. Okay, but that's including the drinks. Are they only talking about drinks here? Okay, but how much is the ticket though? That's what I want to know. Tickets are always $50. So why did he say $700? I'm gonna be honest, that bothers me. That bothers me a lot. I don't really like that, you know? I feel like you don't need to do that. That's not even a small exaggeration, that's a huge exaggeration.
Visited the comedy spaceship down in Austin, Texas. I paid about $800 for a ticket. My ticket said something about a mandatory drink, but I'd lost the stub and couldn't remember how many I was dictated to have. The vibe in there was so tense, I thought I might get literally shot in the head if I did anything wrong, so I drank about 8 Negronis just to be safe. I went to find the...
I'm curious because this sounds like it's in a rough part of Texas. By the way, I mean, they always talk about homelessness and crime in California. Basically, anywhere where you have like a dense urban center, you're going to have high crime. And so it's just funny because like the Rogan Sphere doesn't talk about the crime that goes on. If they need like heavy security near that comedy mothership place, and like who like, then where the fuck do they get off like complaining about crime in like California? I mean, this looks okay. I guess the question would be, what does this look like at night? I guess. Jesus, this place looks freaking miserable though. The only reason I say that is because it's like a concrete jungle and it's in the middle of like the blazing hot sun. And I know a thing or two about this because where I grew up from was kind of like this. And it was fucking miserable. That's why I don't live there anymore. It's just so fucking hot. I can't. There's an old joke from like Bill Hicks about like how like a lot of old people will be like, oh, I want to move to like the desert. I want to move to whatever, because I guess for old people like the cold kind of affects them in their bones a lot, I guess. But so he's like, what do you mean you want to live in the desert? Are you a fucking lizard? that was that was the real comedy, okay? I want the real comedy. I want that Bill Hicks comedy. I don't even know how to look for that segment. Bill Hicks, what are you, a lizard? I like gave away the joke. And then like, okay, never mind. I don't know. Okay. I mean, in the daytime, it doesn't look too bad. It looks kind of like your standard like city. Yes, a little bit trashy and stuff like that, but like that's a heavily trafficked city for you, right? But I am curious, like maybe at night this is a pretty rough area. I don't know. It don't look too bad. Okay. Anywho,
washroom. And
why do you need like crazy heavy security like that? It's making it
when
look
I
like
got
like what is this? Is this legit? Is that legit? Like that can't be real, right? That you go to the restroom and they got freaking armed guards in there? Jesus Christ, why?
there, to my dismay, I discovered that Joe, the comedy czar, had actually removed his own special from the Comedy Wall of Fame that he put up there. Maybe he just got embarrassed after we pointed it out, but I think it's the first sign that he knows his scheme is at risk of being exposed and he's begun to hide his tracks. But anyway, I watched the show. It was, fine, I guess. But, it really couldn't compare to the pleasure I experienced releasing those 8 Negronis into the toilet pipe. The armed guards at the door stole my phone and placed it in a locked bag, so I wasn't allowed to take any more photos, so I...
What is a Negroni, by the way? I'm more of a, I know my beers decently well. I'm more of a beer person. I'll do different beers. People will ask me, like, oh, what kind of beers do you like? And I know a lot of people, how their preference, oh, I like IPAs. Oh, I like lagers, whatever. I tell people this, and I feel like generally when you say stuff like this, people don't take you seriously. Like, oh, what kind of music? Oh, I like everything. But no, I genuinely like all kinds of beers. And when I go places, I will just try different kinds of beers. Some days I'll be in the mood for a porter. Some days I'll be in the mood for a stout. Some days I'll have an IPA. Some days I'll have, a light beer. Some days sours are like my top. Sours, I'll do IPAs, like those are kind of like a safe bet, but sours are kind of like my favorite right now. The cool thing about sours too is sours basically didn't exist like 5-10 years ago. They're very new. That's the really cool thing about the craft brewery industry in the United States is we have, because of the culture of craft breweries in the United States, and if you're not old enough to remember, it's a fairly recent phenomenon. We've basically revolutionized like the beer industry, which, by the way, all the lamenting and loathing that Americans do about their country falling behind and this and that and everything, like there are things we can and should be proud of, right? We have like a world-class beer industry now that didn't exist like 10 years ago. Craft breweries. And we are innovating just all kinds of different kinds of beers now. Craft brewing. There's got to be a term for like the movement, because it is definitely like a movement, and it's my understanding that it started with Sam Adams, which I kind of feel bad for because Sam Adams kind of started it off, kind of kicked it off, and now they're like dead. Like no one talks about Sam Adams anymore. Oh, not. I mean, Sam Adams is dead, but I mean the beer company. And worked as a brewer and maltster. Sam was started using a recipe known as okay. So craft beer, the microbrew. Okay, apparently the movement started in the 1970s, but I just don't think it was really relevant. Like if you go back to the 1970s, did people really drink craft beers all the time? I feel like you only had a handful of beers that were actually like popular. But now you go to like, at least in California, you go to every city in California. Every city in California has like 2 or 3 breweries, like independent breweries doing their own thing, experimenting. Like it's fucking cool. If you're not from the United States and you want to visit the United States and you want to like cool things to do and everything, cool things to experience that you're not going to find elsewhere. And I don't know, maybe this is actually spread to other countries now. But if you're in California, okay, California has a massive craft brewery industry, and again, every city has like two or three independent, uh, you know, uh, like breweries that are producing like on the regular. They just pump out different kinds of beers. They're just experimenting all the time. Like you go to the same brewery like 2 months later, and they'll have like a new beer that they're featuring. You come back another month later, and they have another beer that they're experimenting with. Right? It's super cool. Like we are in the midst of like a craft beer renaissance revolution in California at least, and I think it's actually like when I travel around a little bit, I think it's spread to the other states too. So I mean, it's a really cool thing. Take advantage of it if you can. Get a drink here. I'm finally kind of sort of locked in, so we can actually play a game in a minute here. I know I've been doing nothing but talking your ear off. But it's been a while, okay? I just wanted to I wanted to see how you're doing. I wanted to touch base with you guys, okay? All zero of you that are watching, right? But some of you will catch the streams later on, and either way, I mean, I'm going to be playing these games anyway, so I might as well stream them, do what I can with it. So microbreweries in the 1980s. In 2000, that number more than doubled to 420. Nano. Okay, come on. All right, what are we gonna do? We're gonna do femto breweries next. Like, chill. Okay, I don't feel like I'm gonna get like developing in the 21st century marketing strategy canned beer. Between the proportion of craft packaging cans in the UK increased. Okay, barrel aged on craft beer in Asia. Okay, hold on. The craft beer movement, because I feel like right now what I'm getting from Wikipedia is the well actually right kind of answer rather than like the more like the I'm getting like the technically correct answer, like, oh well technically there's like 4 or 5 like craft breweries in the United States. Okay, I mean come on, but like it wasn't really a movement until very recently, right? Either that or I'm just a fucking liar and I look like an idiot, right? Okay. It's no, it can't be the fucking case. No fucking way. This is such a relevant like rabbit hole we're going down right now. See, I could be doing like the typical Joe Rogan routine and just like dunk on trans people all day, but how much more interesting is it to actually talk about like other shit? This is all they fucking do these days. Like, oh, trans people this, trans people that, and liberals bad, and like, god damn, dude, like get some new material. Holy shit. It's been since like 2015. Like it's been 10 years of the same dog shit. Like let's have some interesting conversations. There's a world of information out there. Um, I don't know. I'm not getting the answer that I want, so obviously that means that they're wrong. Okay, and I'm right. I give up. Maybe I'm wrong. Whatever. Okay. Well, yeah. What is a Negroni? Because the thing is, this whole conversation started. I don't really know my. I know my beers. I don't know my mixed drinks at all. At all. It sounds weird. I really don't. I'll drink them. I'll try stuff here and there, but I'm not gonna go out of my way to get like mixed drinks. I'll usually just get a beer. Oh, you know what? That's why the name rings a bell. I was at some sort of event with some other people. It might have been with my aunt a few weeks back, where the bar that we went to like only had like fancy-ish mixed drinks. And I think like at two of the bars I just kept getting Negronis because like I tried it at one and I was like, oh, this is pretty good. This is kind of a good go-to. And then I'll try it at the other place. I tried a few other ones too. Like I experimented a little bit. I was adventurous, but I basically found like another go-to, and I almost forgot about it until we looked it up again today. But so now I know. Okay, Negronis are one of my go-tos. The other one, when it comes to mixed drinks, is White Russians. Some people is very controversial. Some people don't like cream in their alcohol because they feel like they're going to throw it up later. Okay, or they think it's not manly. Like, oh, I'm a man because I drank a drink that was harsh on going down. Like, pat yourself on the back, bro. Like, like you drank a drink that wasn't smooth and wasn't, it wasn't an enjoyable experience so that you can prove what? No one actually cares. But yeah, no, White Russians, they got some cream, you know, some Kahlua sometimes, right? If you got it on hand, coffee liqueur. It's a smooth drink. It goes down nice and smooth. I like White Russians. That was like the first mixed drink that I really kind of fell in love with. And then lately too, Palomas. My uncle turned me on to these because basically you get a Paloma anywhere. Because Palomas are basically just going to be like vodka mixed with like Sprite or like ginger ale or something. So like pretty much every bar is going to have those ingredients on hand, right? So like Palomas are a good go-to. What are... I guess you could make it with tequila too, but I don't really like tequila. Oh, I guess traditionally they are made with tequila. I get mine with vodka. I don't really like tequila. I feel like vodka and tequila are like very similar, and yet I fucking hate tequila versus like I don't mind vodka as much. So grapefruit soda or juice, lime juice, salt is optional. And of course it appeals to me. I love like citrus flavors a lot. That's why I like sour beers as well.
Sat there drawing a picture of what I was witnessing on the free napkin.
Oh my god,
that came with
it's
my
like I'm
groceries.
playing a video game.
Now we've been getting a lot of feedback saying
That's
that
crazy.
we are very negative, so here's something positive about the experience. The show is only a couple hours long, which for $800 is insane, but it's so
I mean, he says it again here. It wasn't like a mistake. Where's he getting $800 from? That bothers me, you know, because I feel like it feel like it cheapens your point if you have to make up wild exaggerations. Where's I don't understand where he's getting $700, $800 from. That's weird.
boring that it feels like it's about 5 or 6 hours, so that improves the value at least. As you walk into the room, you're reminded of 2 of the most horrific acts of brutality ever committed. Which is good because when you're thinking about what happens when an atomic bomb blows up over your head, it makes the terrible show you're witnessing seem like an okay alternative.
Wait, what?
Up over committed. As you walk into the room, you're reminded of 2 of the most, so that improves the value at least.
Oh, okay.
As you walk into the room, you're reminded of 2 of the most horrific acts of brutality ever committed.
Why? Like, genuinely, why? Like, I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt that there's some context that actually makes this, like, cheeky and clever and funny. But without that context, it's actually just kind of like, why? Why do you think that's funny? And if you don't know, by the way, Fat Man and Lil Boy are the name of the nuclear bombs that we dropped on Japan and murdered, like, millions of people. I shouldn't say murder necessarily, but killed people. Whether or not you think that using nukes in Japan in World War II was necessary or not, it shouldn't be something where like it's something that it should be regrettable, right? Whether you think it was necessary or not, it should be like even if you're of the persuasion that we had to do it in order to end the war, the Japanese like leadership would not, like, they were willing to sacrifice, you know, just bodies and bodies and bodies of men. So even if you think that, it's not like you should celebrate the use of a nuclear bomb. You should be of the perspective like, oh, it was a necessary evil. So like, what is the joke here? Why would you?
Committed.
That's like, but I don't put it past the kind of people in the Joe Rogan orbit because it's like their comedy is just, it's almost like I'm just being mean and rude and I'm being a bully and that's funny to me. Which is like, it's a bit pathetic, but also it's just like what is wrong with you? You know what I mean?
Which is good because when you're thinking about what happens when an atomic bomb blows up over your head, it makes the terrible show you're witnessing seem like an okay alternative. No idea who the comics were. Who cares? They were shit. And of course they were, we already knew that. What we want to find out is why, how. But the vibe was very bad in there, very negative, and so I got the hell out of there and began walking down 6th Street, where a horde of scary
Spaceport is
meth-out
overrun.
ghouls began to oogle me,
Oh, we've
which,
gotta corral
compared
these
to the
little
vibe
guys.
in the comedy Spaceship, was honestly much more welcoming. And that's when I saw it. In the alleyway behind the mothership.
That's interesting because you said 6th Street in Austin was like full of like methed out people and stuff like that. Here in San Francisco, you want to kind of, if you're visiting, by the way, avoid 6th Street. 6th Street is where a lot of kind of like, you know, like meth addicts congregate towards around. Um, it's not the whole city. Like Republicans like to talk about it as if it's the entire cities like that, but it's really just particular like neighborhoods and areas. 6th Street is one of those areas you kind of want to avoid. So I just think it's interesting if, with all the ways that Republicans characterize San Francisco, you know, Joe Rogan's in Austin because it's so much different, and then ironically, their 6th Street is basically like our 6th Street. So it's like, how are you guys acting like you're better than everybody else?
A flock of comedy pilgrims had gathered, lining up. They told me they had traveled from all over the country for their chance to win 1 minute of stage time there. Their opportunity to climb the ladder to a higher tier class of human. A real comedian. I couldn't believe how many of them there were.
That's the thing about the comedy industry, and I could never go into comedy. I would bomb. It would be so awkward for me. Like, I give props to up and coming comedians, even if you're bad at it, because it takes so much, like, swallowing your pride to go out there and make a fool of yourself over and over and over again until you get good at it. It's really embarrassing. And also, like, if you go see a comedy show, it is hit or miss if you're the one on the other end watching, because like 90% of comedians just aren't very good. And it's hard to be good at comedy. Comedy is really, really hard to get the timing, to be topical, to like get the crowd, like to connect with the crowd and stuff. It's just really, really, really hard. There's no like science to it either. It's one of those things, like an art form. And so with comedy, like if you go see like an amateur comedy show, and I've been to a few of them, like, you want to be polite and everything, and you want to like give people props for like going up there and making the effort. And you know that it takes practice, but like, some of them are just not good, and you're just sitting there listening to their set for like 30 minutes. You're cringing on behalf of them because you're like, you feel bad for them, and you're also just kind of like bored a little bit. So it sucks, but I mean, it is what it is.
They were all over the place, living in their cars, in tents. So many comedy pilgrims, everywhere, just taking over the entire area. And I started thinking about how the hell all these people ended up here. I started thinking about human migration. Like, how did you end up where you are? No matter who or where you are, at some point, some guy in your lineage looked around and said to himself, I gotta get out of here. Packed up and went to a new place. And with that spirit in mind, I packed my bags and headed home. When I got back to my cabin, I placed a photo of my guru above my typewriter with a sign.
That's an interesting thing that he's doing there. There's an analogy that he's pulling from, but he's doing it, I think, in a subtle way that I don't know if most people realize. He's drawing an analogy between like immigration, right? That these people, like, literally the definition of the term, you are immigrating from one place to another. Like, you have all these comedians that are coming to this area, this Austin, Texas area, in order to try to like make it big. And it is an act of, packing up your life, going somewhere, to try to build a better future and everything. And it's a risk, and you're doing it with like good intentions and everything. I wonder if he's going to try to tie that back into like what's going on currently with how, the Rogan sphere has kind of jumped onto this anti-immigrant sentiment. But like the motivation behind immigration is for, people trying to like find a better life and find opportunities. And that is the bread and butter for how his comedy mothership venue works, right? He's relying on all these amateur comedians that are basically gonna, he's drawing labor from and filling out his time slots with. And it's the same spirit, it's the same motivation behind it. And yet he's so anti-immigrant. You know what I mean? And I know they're not the same thing, right? But there is a similar kind of like motivation and spirit behind that.
Sign that said, "Keep thinking." That's what I did for several weeks, obsessively, compulsively, and it led me to discover what's actually going on behind all this unsettling comedy stuff, and that we were right to find it so unsettling, and evil, and vile. And that what we're witnessing with this Austin comedy thing is actually part of a massive operation designed to destroy the entire world. And I know that sounds kind of out there, but as you'll
It does sound really out there. So I mean, I'm expecting him to tie it in somehow, right? So I'm curious to see how he's going to do that here.
see, that's actually part of their design. I thank my comedy guru David for helping me get my thinking back on track. Tasmai Shri Guru Namaha.
I don't know what that means. I'm gonna guess
To
it's
answer
some
the
sort
question
of
how
like
comedy got so
Ayavardic thing or
sick, we need
something.
to go back about 375 million years to the first of those migrations we mentioned earlier. Migration is baked into our DNA, guys. I don't know if you knew that in advance, but I am seeing on my YouTube analytics here that 87%
And
of you
my
only
work
got
is
your
done.
grade 10. So, in case you weren't aware, humans began as simple tubes, a mouth, and
Okay, we're going through the whole process of evolution. By the way, abortion argument here. When people say life began at conception, it did not. Life began, I think it was 4 billion years ago. When did life appear on Earth? Okay, between 4.3 and 3 billion years ago, 3.8 billion. So what is that? 5? So yeah, so about 4 billion years ago, if we take an average, like 4.05 or something like that. Life does not begin at conception. Just from a very literal scientific standpoint, it does not begin at conception. And the reason why this argument is important is because they will try to retreat to life began at conception because a lot of times they think it's like a solid bulletproof argument. Oh, well, you can't debate about that. Like scientists agree, right? Science says life begins at conception. No, it doesn't. Okay, that's not how life is defined in science. That's not how it works. Life is a continual chain that stretches back 4 billion fucking years ago. And it's living organisms that are reproducing and carrying other like new living organisms inside of them or splitting off, right, through like mitosis or whatever it is. But either way, every single organism in that chain has to be alive. And the thing that is born from them is alive, right? And then it like reductively it poops out the live thing, right? And then that live thing grows and it becomes pregnant when it's alive and it gives birth to another live thing. Every single point in that chain has to be alive. So it's kind of crazy when you think about that there's an unbroken chain of life that stretches 4 billion years back and that every single organism along that chain had to be alive in order, like at least long enough to reproduce in order to get to where you're at today. You are the result of 4 billion years of life that lived long enough to reproduce, create the next generation. That generation lived long enough to reproduce. 4 billion years, unbroken chain of life. They had to be alive that entire time in order to lead to you right here, right now, watching this video. That's crazy. But it's like it's inspiring to a certain degree, right? Life does not begin at conception. If you want to make the case, like maybe you can say there's a new kind of life that forms at conception. But even that life, when you think about it, right, that life is a sperm cell and an egg cell meeting each other. That sperm cell was part of your father. It was a life that was, part of your father's life. And then the egg cell is part of, your mother's life. They weren't separate like organisms. They were cells like every other cell that's in their body. It's a cell from your dad that's alive, and it's a cell from your mom that's alive. When they came together, they changed form. It's not that there was new pieces of chemistry that were formed together, and then that in her womb, and then those chemicals, those molecules, whatever, formed like a living organism. No, there were already living organisms. Those living organisms came together, and then they just they like transformed into a new kind of organism. And then that organism grew and it multiplied and it turned into a baby, right? Every single part of that process, 4 million years going back, every single part of it had to be alive. There's no break in that chain. If there was a break in that chain and one of these creatures died before they had a chance to give birth, you wouldn't be alive, right? Now, of course, there's plenty of animals along this entire 4 billion years of life that did die without ever reproducing. But the thing is that you're the result of the organisms who lived long enough to successfully reproduce. You're not the result of any of the organisms that died before they had a chance to reproduce. So you could trace back, if we had like, I don't know, a time machine, we can go back and watch like the entire flow of like the individuals that were alive that led to your birth, right? Crazy to think about.
And an asshole. Purest form of a proper organism, just floating in the ocean.
We got a cutscene. Okay, hold on. We're actually playing a video game. Can you believe that?
Not even the scorekeeper could resist. And who might you be? That still doesn't explain why we should have to go. We haven't seen your Dusk Shadow.
I mean, explosives are weapons, right? Problem with definitions.
Even if these charges go off, you can't predict what aftershocks they could cause.
Is this a crate dragon? No? Okay, never mind. Oh my god, it's been a few weeks since I played, I don't even remember how to play. Actually did something in the video game. That's crazy.
And eventually that tube evolved into this fish kind of thing. And this fish, this was the first in our lineage to become a new guy and to...
People think it's like absurd that you had fish that crawled out of the water, but I read a little bit about the evolution of this, and basically around the time period that they think the species was living, you had like conditions where I think there was a segment of the ocean that kind of got like landlocked, so to speak. So it basically became like a more shallow body of water, kind of not landlocked necessarily, but I think like I think with the movement of the continents, it basically became like a little area that was maybe like a bay, or like you had these regions with shallower water was the main point. And so you had these marine animals that evolved in the ocean, and now they, over time, obviously this is very gradual, this is over millions of years, they are increasingly living in a shallower and shallower, body of water. And so now they're living like in this shallow body of water. Around that same time, you had insects that had evolved on land. Insects were the first, like you had plants on land. If it was first, it was plants. Then you had insects, right? So now you had insects on land, and so now you have these marine animals that have like a prey source that's on land. And in order to reach that prey source, they needed to develop the ability to, at least temporarily, go onto land and hunt those animals. So the early, you know, fish that crawl out of the water or whatever, they were like, I believe they were kind of like amphibious fish. They were like mud skippers. Well, not really, but they're like in the sense that mud skippers, when you look at mud skippers, these are like semi-aquatic animals. They can swim, they look like fish, they have flippers, but if you look at their front flippers, they can actually also kind of use them like hands to kind of drag themselves on the ground, on the water. Um, and part of their theory on how the fish in these shallow bodies of water developed kind of like the bone structure to have like these fins that can kind of drag is that because they were evolving in shallow bodies of water, initially like their predecessor species might have been hunting like on the bottom of that, quote unquote lake bed. Not really a lake, but you get the idea. And so since it's down like towards like the sediment, maybe fishing on or hunting on things that might be like what we consider crabs today, like it made sense for it to kind of have the ability to kind of like plant itself down on the lake bed and kind of pull itself along rather than just being moved around by the currents. And then of course that develops into, oh, now there's prey species living on land. We can also use that same structure, that same skeletal structure to pull ourselves out of the water and then move on land. There's this other thing about how do you develop like the ability to breathe on land, right? You might think that scientists don't have an explanation for that. There is actually, and there are transition species that we have that we look at that actually give us a clue on how that developed. These are questions, again, you have access to the internet. You can find this out. We could look this up and we can read about it. It sounds far-fetched, but once you actually read about it and you understand this happened over millions of years, you realize like, oh, actually, there is transition species that do show like how certain like biological mechanisms evolved over time, and they're there, right? I think with the whole like breathing on land thing, it had to do with like this particular species of fish that man, I guess we're just gonna go down this rabbit hole. Let me look it up real fast because this is actually interesting, and this is like most people do not. If I had to guess, I would guess like 96% of the population or more has no idea about this, which is super interesting. And I think if scientists made more of an effort to explain things like this, like how we develop, how sea animals develop like the ability to kind of like have locomotion on land, if they explain like how sea animals develop the ability to start breathing on land, like it would go a long way for convincing a lot of people who are skeptical of evolution. The evolution of breathing atmosphere. Breathing in the atmosphere. Breathing in the atmosphere. Okay, no, this is talking about the evolution of the planet, basically. Of breathing on land. Gills to lungs, driven by the transition of vertebrates from aquatic to... Fish initially use gills, but some developed air-breathing adaptation like spiracles. I think this is what it was, spiracles. Spiracle fish. Spiracle evolution. And I think this had something to do with like, and this is one of those ways where it's like, oh, this actually makes a lot of sense, and it's not as far-fetched when you know about it. I think this had to do with like a lot of marine animals have like they use like air sacs to control their buoyancy. to move up and down in elevation in the water, right? And so if you think about that, like, okay, they've already developed the ability to have like air sacs in their body that they're using to raise and lower in elevation. Okay, well, they're developing structures now that are manipulating air and oxygen, right? So it doesn't take long to go from that to, oh, now you have like gills, or no, I'm sorry, now you have lungs. What is a spherical respiration? So spiracles are external openings in the exoskeleton of insects and other arthropods that allow for gas exchange during respiration. They act as entry points for oxygen and exit points for carbon dioxide. Vertebrae from aquatic first initially use gills, but some develop air-breathing adaptation like spiracles and swim bladders. Okay, see, that's what I'm talking about, swim bladders, right? I believe those are the things that give like a marine animal buoyancy, which I think submarines actually use a similar concept. Are gas-filled sacs in bony fish that helps them control their buoyancy. There you go. I swear to God, I did not pre-read any of this. Like, I mean, I read about it before in the past. It's very fuzzy to me, but it's not like I did this Google search like before I started the stream or anything. Opening on top of their heads that could take in air. I thought gills take in air. Well, I guess gills don't really take in air, right? Doesn't air just kind of pass over the gills? And I think the like respiratory mechanisms are already like on the gills themselves. So I think the idea of spiracles is like you're taking oxygen like internally into another system. Buccal pumping. Some fish use buccal to move water over their gills. Oh, and so now you have the development of like an organ in your body that acts like a pump, right? But it wasn't initially for lungs. It was for something else. It was to move air, oxygen over the gills. But then you can imagine, like over millions of years, you can use that same kind of pumping action to use in lungs, right? Gill breathing and air breathing possibly lung development. But I remember there was something about like a particular species of fish that would like go vertical in the water, and that had something to do with it, I believe. Shift breathing from head to torso. In reptiles, ribs evolved to expand the chest cavity. Lungs became more complex. Man, am I gonna be able to find this species, this transition species? Or maybe, I mean, it's possible that the book I read, it was kind of outdated. Maybe this whole model of like this vertical fish isn't really considered accurate anymore. Vertical fish. Breathing evolution. I don't know if that's going to get us where we want to go. AI is a tool, right? You get like these AI overviews from Google, but the whole idea is that you don't like these are not perfect. You kind of use them like Wikipedia as like a springboard for further investigation. So, okay. The evolution of breathing in fish is fascinating that highlights the remarkable, while gills are primarily including the ability was tightly linked to transition from fish to land. The emergence of air breathing in fish. Lungs, spiracles, swim bladders. Huh. Okay, I swear there was like something about like this fish that would like go vertical. It had something to do with like the way that it managed air at that point. Oh man. I'm not gonna find it. That's frustrating. I'm not gonna know how to search for it either. At least not with the time that we have right now. Okay, it's okay. Sometimes you gotta let it go. We'll be here all day.
The ocean where he was all fucked up, and he looked around and said, I gotta get the hell out of here. And he migrated out of the water and onto the land, becoming a land guy. He then somehow transformed into a little rat kind of thing with nipples.
My game keeps crashing on me. It's so annoying. Let's reload the game. In the meantime, we'll just listen to more of this video. Big But I don't know. I mean, this game had a big update. It looks like, so maybe they're still doing like, maybe there's still some bugs are working out with this new update. I give them the benefit of the doubt.
And the nipple rat evolved into like a monkey chimp thing or whatever. And then the chimp or ape or whatever, it became a human guy. And it wasn't long until those human guys, like that fish before them, looked around and said, I gotta get the hell out of here. And they migrated to every corner of the earth. A lot of animals have these built-in mechanisms. We are no different. Just like how birds have like a magnet in their brain or something, which tells them when and where to migrate somewhere else. It's obvious from these historical records that the human instinct to say, fuck this, I gotta get out of here, becomes activated in times of fear. Fear is processed in the most ancient part of our brain. It puts us into a fight or flight mode, just like the fish guy. And I don't know if you've looked around at the world lately, but people really are losing their shit. The whole world is on fire. There are crazy guys with nukes yelling at each other, and bombs are flying around all over the place. The air is full of smoke. All the fruit just tastes like wood now. We've all got microplastics in our brains. That can't be good. Plus, it's so hot out, I'm gonna piss myself. And don't even get me started on all those politics. What the hell is going on with TikTok? Why is China doing all that stuff? Why did they close the oatmeal plant down? I wanted to keep working there. I got no money.
Okay, I mean the production value for this video is good and everything, but I have to wonder, like, what is the point that we're getting at? This seems like a very long tangent.
I gotta pay MSRP for my steel cut.
The Pep Boys Early Labor Day event is here. Buy 3 tires, get the 4th tire free, plus 50% off installation.
Bullshit, man.
Can you guys tell that I need to buy new tires? Sub to my channel, by the way. I need to buy new tires. Let's get this channel monetized. Okay?
You know what? And then he says it. F this, I gotta get out of here. Except this time, they've got nowhere to go. Not physically, anyway. But lucky for them, some of humanity's most powerful visionaries, the techno-wizards, have constructed a psychic ark to sail the seas of your mind and take you away from your problems and out onto a new frontier. A new reality. And here's where it gets crazy. It's a reality where there is no such thing as reality.
I mean, I guess maybe the point that he's trying to make is that migration is part of like human advancement, it's part of human evolution, right? And that the spirit of migrating, it's a noble thing, it's a thing that is necessary and it's useful to humanity. It's something that like refreshes, it's something that innovates.
Lion.
Techno-wizards use their machines to ramp up your own uncertainty about what's real and what's fantasy, to the point where you're so anxious that you do anything just to be certain.
No! It's all ultraphonics and sonics and dimensional super action behind glass screens. You know, if you think of something.
Dimensional super action.
Once you've lost connection with classic reality, you're just a guy floating out.
Psychobabble from yesteryear is always funny, isn't it? It's super action. It's, Jimmy Kimmel live in Technicolor.
In the open ocean, desperate to find something to grab onto to save yourself, stranded and surrounded by a sea of danger. That is when the techno-wizards begin their most perverted sorcery. They throw you a life preserver.
Stand by for examination and suggested progress.
New virtual world. In this virtual world, you're still going to be angry all the time, but at least you'll be certain. And that feels
You are
good.
fit for duty. Return to your
because
post.
it feels so good, you just want to stay in there forever. Until eventually you've been in there so long that your new virtual world feels more real than your old classic reality. And once it's become more convincing than classic reality, it just becomes your new reality. Congratulations, you've migrated to a new place. It's a new reality, except it's anti-reality. It's what's called a hyper-real simulacrum.
The battle for the mind of North America will be fought in the video arena.
Yeah.
The television screen is the retina of the mind's eye. Therefore, the television screen is part of the physical structure of the brain. Therefore, whatever appears on the television screen emerges as raw experience for those who watch it.
Yep.
Therefore, television is reality.
Yep.
And reality is less than television.
There are a a lot of visionaries in this world, all with their own ideas about creating new worlds into which we can migrate. But only a few have acquired the wealth and influence to actually execute such migrations at full scale. Movements triggered by everyone saying, "I gotta get the hell out of here," happen all the time.
Oh my
Throughout
god, my
history,
cat.
wealthy, influential
Stop.
people have
Hey,
leveraged these
no.
waves in order to serve their interests, using their power to direct migrants in or out of places beneficial to fulfilling their goals. Someone we've seen.
The beauties and the wonders of streaming. My DisplayPort to HDMI cable is kind of old. I've had it since college. It's a little bit finicky, and if you jostle it slightly out of place, like I lose my image altogether. My cat likes to hang out behind my monitor, and so she'll go back there, and if she just laid back there, it'd be fine. But she'll like mess with the wires, not like intentionally, but she'll like hit them, and so I need to get her out of there. But I have not trimmed her nails in a long time, and every time I put my hand back there to try to grab her to move her, she wants to grab onto me with her nails. Okay, come on. Come on. Yes, go ahead. Grab onto me. Come on. Come on. What I should do, I had a towel that was sitting up here on my desk. What? Yes. I had a towel. I probably should just set it up. I'm gonna do that right now. Okay, because she's gonna be upset. She doesn't get to hang out with me. So I had a towel up here. I'm gonna put a towel up here again. And so if I have a towel, I could put it like on this side of the desk, and she'll want to sit there, and she won't bother with like my cables over here, and she'll be happy. I'll be happy. Okay, come here. Look at here's your spot. Okay, dedicated for you. Your designated viewing platform. Okay, it's the kitty corner. You can hang out with me right here. It'll be copacetic. Okay, come on. Look at her. Look at her. Look at it. You're on TV. You're famous. You don't even know what TV is, okay? But you're on it. So you're not even on TV. You're on the internet. Okay, hang out right there. Go ahead.
Exploiting the "I gotta get the hell out of here" phenomenon is this Elon guy. He was bullied a ton as a kid because he was a strange, scrawny, little weak guy. He could also be a bit of a dickhead. And so his teachers, his parents, they wanted to help him.
Did you have a happy childhood?
No, it's horrible.
Are you serious?
Yes.
Why was it
Imagine being able to build anything just by thinking about it. Meet Base 44, a complete AI creation platform made for anyone with an.
Stop.
He was shy and awkward at school, didn't have many friends.
On one occasion, Elon was pushed down a flight of stairs and beaten violently, leaving him in hospital for weeks.
And if that wasn't bad enough, and this is something you'll see with almost all of these anti-reality guys, Elon had a very bad dad who left him with a dad-shaped hole in his soul.
Very violent.
There's like this tendency for people who've been bullied to then become bullies, and it's like they feel the need to like fit in with whatever like bully group that they were ostracized from, because they'll grow up in like these communities or cultures, and in order to survive, they feel that they have to acquiesce to like this bully culture, and so then they become bullies themselves in order to feel like they are good enough, I guess. And it turns them into monsters themselves. Oh, come on! Yeah. Right here.
I wasn't sure if you'd be foolish enough to come aboard, Jedi. But I can sense your presence.
And I sense a man tormented by the past.
You are blinded by the light side. You can't understand what you face. Come to me, Jedi. I'll show you how light can be snuffed out.
It was not a happy childhood. My father has this serious issues.
When Elon received that severe beating as a kid, his father berated him and blamed him for it. Made him stand for hours, called him an idiot, and told him he was worthless. Proper bad dad stuff. All these experiences made Elon internalize the belief that this world is a scary, dangerous place. Wouldn't it be nice to just get the hell out of here? Well, later in life he acquired an immense amount of wealth and immediately began to use it.
From a child development standpoint as well, there's a concept in genetics called epigenetics. When people ask like, "Oh, is it nature versus nurture?" Nature and nurture like they're like two parts of the same coin. Your genes are expressed in an environment. In your genes, the code of your genes will adapt to the environment, so to speak. So like you might have sequences of your genome that might say like, okay, in given this environment, produce more of this chemical, or given this environment, I don't know, develop this trait. Obviously, it doesn't say it that way, right? It doesn't work exactly that way, but you get the idea. So in child development, you see these patterns with like children that grow up in X environment, they tend to develop this, and children that grow up in that environment tend to develop that, right? If you grow up in an environment that's hostile, it will affect like your long-term development. It'll affect like the way your brain develops too. It'll like it might turn you into a dysfunctional human being like Elon Musk, where you from like a very fundamental young age have learned that the world is hostile, and therefore you need to kind of become like, or your biology becomes kind of cold and callous and hardened itself in order to try to survive in that environment. And even when you get out of that environment, right, your like programming has already been affected by that development in child. That development in childhood is really important. It's really fundamental. It will affect you for the rest of your life.
This guy, exactly.
Oh.
And a lot of guys are on that path.
I jumped way far ahead.
One guy who has followed the path of...
Okay, chill. Let's get back to where we were talking about Elon. Oh my god, I have not moved very far in this movie, have I?
Violent. It was not a happy childhood. My father has this serious issues.
When Elon received that severe beating as a kid, his father berated him and blamed him for it. Made him stand for hours, called him an idiot, and told him he was worthless. Proper bad dad stuff. All these experiences made Elon internalize the belief that this world is a scary, dangerous place. Wouldn't it be nice to just get the hell out of here? Well, later in life he acquired an immense amount of wealth and immediately began to use it to try and reconstruct reality and to cope. Put heaps of that money into trying to build this Mars colony thing, which is never going to happen, but that doesn't matter.
I think it will happen. The Mars colony will happen. It's not going to happen on the timeline that Elon Musk sold us on. And I think we're actually like past the initial timeline. He just keeps moving the window further and further along. Elon Musk, initial Mars timeline. It's funny because I remember when I was back in college and he was first floating this whole thing. I remember when he like, oh, we'll be in Mars by this time. And I remember even back then thinking like, no, you're not. That is so far away. You're not anywhere close to that. We will get there eventually. It's just going to take a while. But I think that what we should be doing is we should try to colonize the moon first. It's easier to get to, and it creates like a springboard so that we can kind of jump off from the moon to, further reaches. It's easier to launch from the moon. Once we establish a colony on the moon, and then we can start building spaceships on the moon, it's easier to launch from the moon because it has like, what, 1/6 of Earth's gravity? What is the moon gravity compared to Earth? Granted, you're still kind of being affected by Earth's gravity even when you're on the moon. Yeah, 1/6 of Earth's gravity. And also, like, we'll learn a lot about how to build colonies on exoplanets by colonizing the moon. But the thing is, because the moon is a lot closer, if there are issues that we need to resolve on the moon colony, we can make emergency trips there easier than you know, all the way to Mars, where it takes, I think, what would it be, like a couple months or maybe even years? It might be years to get to Mars. How long? Actually, I want to keep this. How long would it take Elon's rocket to get to Mars? What is she up to? 7 to 9 months. Okay, yeah, so it'll take months versus the moon. I think probably takes a few days. How long to get to the moon by rocket? What is she up to? Hold on. Let's see what my cat's up to over here. Oh, I think she's just being hyper. 3 days. Okay, 3 days isn't bad. You know, it's a long time, but it's not bad. It's doable.
Matter. The real point of his Martian cope is creating.
And also, people say like there's no point in going to colonizing other planets. There is. It exponentially increases our survival odds. Because think about it this way: if all of life, all of humanity exists on planet Earth, if something catastrophic happens to Earth, then that's it. We're gone. We're done. But once we start colonizing other planets, okay, something can happen here on Earth, but even if all of Earth is wiped out, we still have people here on Mars. But it's much harder to have some sort of astronomical event that affects both planets at the same time. You know what I mean? And then once you springboard off of Mars, and maybe at some point we start colonizing other solar systems, we're increasing our survival odds even more exponentially, because what kind of astronomical phenomenon can affect both our solar system and another solar system, right? And the further out you go, you start decreasing the amount of astronomical phenomenon that can affect like all of humanity at one time. So you're increasing your survival odds. So it's a good thing for us to do over time. It's not going to happen overnight, and that's okay. We don't have to dump all of our resources into it.
Creating a virtual reality to migrate to, one where this colony thing would actually be feasible, and he could actually escape the Earth and live on another planet. And that gives him hope that he could actually get the hell out of here. All this crap here, this is all just for Elon to fantasize about getting the hell out of here. Nobody is going to Mars, man. The world is still scary to this guy. He still feels like he's getting bullied when everyone...
We will get to Mars eventually, but I don't think Elon will be around for it, which is good because he's too psychologically broken as a person to trust him with, you know, colonizing a place like Mars. Like it would unironically become like the Rapture from BioShock. Like he unironically subscribes to thinking that would be a good idea. And somehow he doesn't seem to notice, like, I used to think BioShock and the whole Rapture thing was kind of silly, right? Because like anyone who would be smart enough to build a city like that under the water or something would foresee those kind of pitfalls. But it's funny because you have Elon and you have video games that tell you to like avoid these sorts of things, and yet he would, if he made a colony like that, he would repeat the same mistakes. I was like, you were given examples not to do that. Like, you can't say like, oh, you didn't know any better. Like, you had plenty of examples in science fiction and otherwise telling you like, hey, these are the things that can go wrong and everything, but you've convinced yourself that to go forward and double down on those kind of dumb ideas anyways.
Online is telling him he's a loser. That's why he bought Twitter. Everyone on there was being mean, so he just bought the thing so he could control it. Pretended the millions of guys calling him a loser were just bots and trolls, so he could just kick them out and reshape the site into his own ideal version of reality, and then pretend that this simulated version of reality is reality. He wants to be a guy who's great at video games, but he's a total noob. He's the kid that would turn the Nintendo controller like a steering wheel while playing Mario Kart, while
Okay, I mean, these are kind of petty and over-exaggerated. The thing, like, when we insult, like, the people that disagree with us, even if they're, like, really bad, like Elon Musk, is when you pick things to when you're nitpicking them, it kind of falls flat, right? There's, like, an initial period where the Elon Musk video game thing came out where it was, like, funny to make fun of him. But after, like, a few months, it just kind of seems petty. And the reason it seems petty is because, like, who cares that you're good or bad at video games? It doesn't really matter that much, right? In the grand scheme of things, what are the things that are really going to hurt Elon? They're going to probably be related to engineering. Those are the things that he's, like, most serious about. So being like, oh, well, you suck at video games, you wouldn't be able to hold a controller straight. It's like, well, he probably would. You're over-exaggerating, and it's not really that funny as an exaggeration either, because, like, who actually takes it that seriously? It just makes it seem like you're super, super, desperate to find like any little thing that you can ding him on. That said, right? It's just so silly and pathetic that you need to feel like you need to lie about being able to play a video game well, because it's like, bro, you're like 50 years old or however old you are. Who cares? I don't think anybody cares whether or not you're like super great at video games. And by the way, like, you don't have to be, because you could just tell people like, I'm too busy. I don't have the time to get like super duper great at every video game. I can't sink the time into it because I'm busy with my businesses, and nobody would care. But like the fact that you think that you need to go out of your way to like lie and pay for people to like boost up your account and everything, it says something about how insecure you are despite the mountain of wealth and the businesses that you own. It's like peak short guy energy, except you're not even short. So like, why are you that insecure? And by the way, I'm a short king, right? I'm like 5'7", so I can make those jokes. It's okay when I do it. But I mean, I am joking though. But the point is, like, why are you that insecure? It's just so silly.
His mouth hangs open.
This
Where
guy should
I
be on
come
my team,
from, we
right?
call that
Oh, he's
Thomasing.
brainwashed.
But Elon just wants to win something, and he can't play sports because he never had the makings of a varsity athlete. So again, he uses his wealth to just pay guys who are actually good at video games to play the games for him. And then he pretends it's him playing the games. And then he got caught.
The poor thing's there.
And all the actual gamers all started watching him play and laughing at him.
Poor things. He clearly had no idea.
He started playing the games himself on stream, but just got harassed the entire time and then pretended his connection dropped so he could get the hell out of there.
Thanks, Elon.
Elon wants him being a hero to be part of his hyper-reality as well. For a while he was seen as a savior figure, but that illusion evaporated. He tried to reclaim his hero status.
The tone and tenor and how you deliver these kind of arguments too, by the way, matter a lot, because there's a difference between like the way that he's expressing it, where he's like so monotone and serious while he's talking about it, and he's like going on and on and on about it, right? Versus like, yeah, you know, Elon Musk, for everything that he's done and the positions of power that he has and everything, like, he's still so insecure. Like, look at what he did with that whole video game situation. The idea that he felt the need to lie about it is just, it's like, it's just so insecure. And then that's it. That's all you needed to say about it, right? But then when you like overdo it in explaining it and lingering on it and everything, it just sounds petty versus like just a one-off, like, it's just kind of sad and pathetic that he felt the need to even do that. And then you just kind of move on to the next point.
By inserting himself into the rescue.
But we're luring way too much on this point. That doesn't really matter that much.
He stuck his nose into the rescue operation, despite nobody asking him to, and offered them an old metal tube from the SpaceX garbage dump that they were throwing out anyway, and telling the actual rescue divers who were down there trying to do their jobs to toss the kids in this tube and pull.
See, and the problem isn't, and again, the way he's delivering this, it sounds too petty. The issue isn't that Elon wanted to help, okay? There's nothing wrong with that. The issue is that Elon wanted to help as a way of kind of like boosting, again, his insecure ego. And also, the way he engaged in wanting to help was by putting down the other people, like the other like professional rescuers, and fighting with them, who were like physically in the mines, in the caves, like on the ground trying to do something. If you want to help, you know, and lend your resources, you make that known, you know, you coordinate with the people who are like on the ground and everything, and you lend whatever support that you can. That's awesome. That's great. No one would give you a hard time for that, right? But why do you feel the need to then like talk shit on the rescuers who are going into the caves, who are down there? Why do you feel the need to like and it becomes clear that you're doing it as a way of like brand promotion and ego and thinking that you know better than everybody else. You know, of course, Elon at the time period, he has an engineering firm, he has a lot of resources at his disposal. He could potentially help. You know, there's a potential there for it. And if you ask, like, oh, hey, let me know if you guys need anything. Like, here's some potential, like, ideas that I had that maybe can help you guys. And then they come back and like, oh, we appreciate your help. We're not really sure if any of these solutions will work because X, Y, and Z reason. The mature, healthy, like mentally stable, responsible thing from there would be like, oh, okay, well, I tried and I wish I could help. I wish I could do more, but I wish you guys the best. Let me know if you guys need anything else. That's it, right? But instead, he makes a fight with one of the rescuers down there and calls him a pedophile. Like, what, bro? What is wrong with you? You're so insecure.
Pull him out. When the rescue leader told him this is insane and makes zero sense that the tube wouldn't even fit through the intricate cave system, Elon rage quit and called the guy a PDF file. He's tried to add being like a funny comedy guy to his hyper-reality, wormed his way into the stand-up comedy world, got on stage with Dave Chappelle and just got booed by an arena full of comedy fans. Rejected again. Even got into the government somehow?
What was Dave Chappelle thinking by having him up there? Like, that kind of seems like a sellout kind of thing. Like, did Dave Chappelle know that he was unfunny and it was like a 4D chess thing where he's like, oh, I'm gonna bring this loser on stage who like thinks that I'm giving an opportunity, but like he's actually kind of a spaz and it's gonna be funny because of how much of a spaz he's being. Please tell me that I forgot his name already. Please tell me Dave Chappelle did not unironically think that it would be funny and cool for Elon to be up there. Right? That had to be like a bit, like he was playing, like the joke was on Elon, right?
Tell me, Jedi, what was it like, letting your life force drain away to shield a stranger from me? How did it feel?
It felt great. I can't say that as this character though.
It hurt, but I endured it.
Pain makes us stronger. And the pain I have endured is beyond your comprehension. That is why I have won. You will understand soon, if you live that long.
You cannot understand, you cannot comprehend the pain that I have been through. This guy's so edgy, he's like a hypercube. He exists in like non-Euclidean space with all the edges. Can't even perceive them. How's that for comedy, guys? Aren't I like super funny? I'm not. But I know that about myself. And I don't need to try to be some super awesome comedian or anything. I'll leave that to the professionals. That, my friends, is called dad humor. It's called self-deprecating humor. The real joke, okay, the joke behind the joke is that I'm bad at comedy and I have lame comedic sense. That's actually the real joke. By the way, there's a lot of people who will say like self-deprecating humor is like bad or makes you look bad. It doesn't. The important thing about self-deprecating humor is if you are using self-deprecating humor as like a cry to help, like a thinly veiled cry to help or cry for help, then it shows insecurity. If, however, you are so secure in yourself and other people kind of know that about you already and you're making jokes at your expense, it comes off as confident because it shows like, hey, I am so like confident in myself, I have so much sense of self-worth that I can make little jokes about myself because at the end of the day, like those little things don't really, like they don't actually make me feel bad about myself. They don't really, like I have enough good qualities that I could joke about a few things where I don't have great qualities. Does that make sense? I think it makes sense. You'll figure it out.
Trying to cut all this funding from everything, hoping they'd give it to him instead to build more spaceships so he can get the hell out of here sooner. The president also started bullying Elon and ended up taking away his lunch money. And now, Elon's even more messed up, even more desperate to escape, and finding it harder and harder to cling to that Mars colony coat.
With Elon. Has Elon tried, just like being nice to people? Like, crazy idea. What if you were just like a nice, genuine guy to other people, and maybe they would be cool with you too, instead of you trying to make yourself look cool by trying to like bully other people. Because here's the thing, if you try to make yourself cool to bullies by bullying other people, eventually you're just going to be in the company of bullies, and those bullies will eventually just start bullying you. That's not really the company you want to keep.
Where I said, you know, if Trump doesn't win, I want to just leave the country. And then Elon said, there's nowhere to go. Elon, you don't believe in going to Mars anymore. Elon, stop believing in Mars.
So he's allegedly retreating into a haze of ketamine-fueled escapism. He's trying to get the hell out of here. The only way to make sense of all this strange behavior is that it is an effort to construct his own hyper-reality into which he can migrate and escape the scary world that rejects him. I actually saw a video of his ex-wife talking about how he does this. I mean, she would know.
We create a parallel world to escape the world that rejects us, or the world that we find too painful to live in. But some people are so good at doing this and master such an amazing skill set that they take their world and they infuse it into our world and they change it. And these are the people we call visionaries. People who move between worlds.
Exactly, yeah.
Between states of consciousness.
Elon.
Wow, Elon's moving between worlds. He's moving between states of consciousness. I think when you're moving between states of consciousness, that means you're schizophrenic, right? Like, I get it. You're a visionary. There's things about the world you don't like. There's another way of saying what she said that makes sense and isn't like silly, which is that, you know, you see things, you see issues, problems with the world that you're unhappy about or that affect you negatively. So you want to make positive changes to, you know, move the world forward. Okay, cool. But you're not moving between worlds. You're not moving between states of consciousness. Like, chill out, bro. Calm down.
Elon learned firsthand the idea of constructing parallel worlds and hyper-reality during childhood. And he grew up in South Africa, a country designed by white guys from Europe who had to get the hell out of there, moved to Africa, but then decided they didn't want to have black guys as neighbors. So they created this hyper-reality in which God commanded the white guys to preserve their race or whatever, and they had no choice but to segregate all the black guys in another part of town.
Let me just say this too, by the way, like, I don't really like this, like, there's like this modern, very online popular, especially on the liberal on the left end, way of communicating information where it's like, it's almost like, oh, I'm too cool for this information, I'm monotonous about it because I don't actually really care, and I'm kind of ironic, and it's like, let me read something here. It's like you read it, like you convey information, you have the inflection of like, human beings are on the precipice of the next migration era, or whatever, and comedy is the forefront of this new age, I guess. I mean, some have already begun this journey. This is an ongoing investigation to some people, like, into how our current comedy era, or whatever, got to be so wonderful. I mean, I guess, right? Like, can we stop that? You're not original, you're not interesting when you do it that way. You sound smug, you sound a little bit pretentious, like, just talk normal, it's okay, yeah.
Because if God wants it, then, I mean, what can you do? You gotta do it. And by getting all the white guys to migrate their psyches into this hyper-reality, it allowed them to do all the heinous shit they had to do to achieve their goals of creating this new society. If you have enough power and influence, reality can be whatever you want it to be, and very few things are going to challenge you.
We have a sort of grasp over the world.
Elon wants to do a full migration into his hyper-reality, but he can't pull it off. It's not believable enough yet. His main problem is that not enough other guys are joining him in his hyper-reality anymore. The more guys you can get to buy into your simulation, the stronger the pillars necessary to uphold the new reality become. Which brings us back to this. This, right here, is irrefutable proof that the comedy spaceship and the entire Austin comedy toilet is a hyper-real simulacrum of an actual comedy.
Because Joe Rogan moved his picture off the wall? Okay, I feel like we're like really kind of stretching here. I know a lot of people praise this video. I'm gonna be honest, I'm not super duper impressed with it rhetorically. I feel like this appeals to people who already dislike Rogan and Elon, but I feel like to outside observers, it just kind of sounds kind of petty, to be completely honest with you. And we don't have to do that. I think we have enough material where we can make really good, compelling points without sounding like hipsters, without sounding pretentious, without sounding smug, without sounding petty. We don't have to do that. We don't have to like hyperfixate on a small little thing like Joe Rogan moving his picture out of the bathroom. Like, bring that up, sure, right? It's kind of funny. It kind of speaks a little bit maybe to his insecurity, but like, don't hang your whole hat on it. I don't think it's that important, right? But let's see. Maybe he's gonna prove me wrong here.
Comedy scene. The whole scene is
maybe I'm
ruled by
not
its
getting
God
it.
King, the comedy czar, Joe Rogan. We already discussed how Joe became the comedy czar in our last video, so go watch that if you don't.
I'm gonna have to watch that, I guess. But I don't even know if Joe Rogan thinks of himself as the comedy czar, quote unquote. But I don't know. We'll watch that video. We'll find out.
Your power and tactics have got you this far, Jedi, but no further. This battle was decided before you stepped aboard.
Lay down your lightsaber, and I'll show you mercy.
Mercy is a weakness I have transcended. My plague isn't just a disease. It siphons power from its victims. With the proper rituals, that power can be channeled. Soon, the combined strength of your masters will make me the most powerful Force adept who has ever lived.
Turn away from this path, Parkanis. The Order can help you.
Parkanis Tark died long ago. Even Vivica is merely a skin to be shed. Parkanis offered himself to me on Malachor III to crush the Order that destroyed us. He embodied my spirit.
I am no lost Jedi, no ordinary Sith Lord. I am Terak Morage.
A Jedi healer put you down once. Now I can finish what he began.
No one can oppose me. I am beyond flesh, beyond death. I will crush you, Jedi, and your shattered body will fuel my rebirth!
You don't understand what we're talking about here. The comedy czar rules over his dominion with complete domination, and as you'll see, the entire scene is designed to strengthen and maintain Joe's personal, hyper-real simulacrum.
What was that? I know I have a bad habit of not healing between rounds and everything, but I didn't. Was her health that low? I don't remember it being that low. Okay.
Joe has been sliding into hyper-reality for several years, and is now completely immersed in the simulation.
I mean, I don't totally understand what he means by hyper-reality in the simulation or the simulacrum or whatever. I mean, I could try to analyze and like break down or like ascertain what he's talking about. But your average person watching this, do they know what he means by hyper-reality in the simulation or the simulacrum, right? I feel like he hasn't really earned that with his explanation, and part of the reason he doesn't earn that is because he's taking like this disinterested, kind of like pretentious tone, and just like, I'm not even gonna bother explaining it. You should get the joke, right? I'm not even that serious about it. It doesn't really matter that much, and it's like, no, like explain what you mean, right? So that your average person understands what you're trying to get at.
A reality in which he is a very smart, special boy.
My personality that is just immune to bullshit.
He has a unique ability to see what's really going on in the world. And he's helping society by scouting for the otherwise unseen danger up ahead.
I'm like a scout, right? Like if you sent me down the trail, and I'm like, hey, there's a cliff. We're running towards.
I wonder what the context of the conversation that he was having was. Although, I'm moving over a little bit here. on the point that he's making, because at least it seems like he's actually kind of laying out his premise now. It seems like, and I could maybe see this. I could maybe get on board this. I'll need a little bit more, but I could potentially see Joe Rogan, due to his fame and success, thinking of himself as like, oh, I'm the kingmaker. I'm someone who has a really good, does a really good job of figuring out like who the influential people are, who are the people with like the true hidden information that everybody else doesn't want you to know. I could see him being like that. That doesn't seem too far-fetched.
There's a cliff. Stop, everybody stop. There's a cliff! There's a cliff!
He believes the universe chose him as a sort of prophet, destined to help guide humanity through this age of chaos. But just like Jesus Christ, the people misunderstood and rejected him.
The universe has put me in this place where I can at least have access to more opinions than most people. And they're like, you're an anti-vaxxer! You don't believe in science! Christians don't I'm taking in opinions from all directions, 360 degrees.
Nice, all right, let's see what Joe scouted up ahead on
The issue with that premise that Joe Rogan has is that he's not taking all opinions to 360 degrees. He may not notice this about himself, but he has a bias in terms of who he has on, who he features, right? He really isn't getting information from across, all the different... Like, if he wanted to actually have a serious conversation about vaccines, he wouldn't just bring on the vaccine skeptics. He would bring on, like, a virologist, like a vaccine expert, and he has the clout to do so. He chooses not to. He's choosing not to actually get, like, a full image of the situation. He has his biases. He has the people that, like, have influenced him, and he's like very satisfied with himself. And maybe it's one of those things where you don't know what you don't know. Like, he doesn't even realize that there are other things out there, that there are other people with good opinions out there that he could reach out to. Like, he is satisfied, like, oh, I found the truth. I found the hidden truth that everybody else doesn't want you to see or whatever. And then he just doesn't really bother, like, hearing from other perspectives, right? And by the way, I'm not the kind of person like, oh, every perspective is equally valid. But if you want to sell yourself as the kind of person that I'm just getting information from everywhere, and then I assess it, after I get all the information from all the different sources, all the different people and everything, then you need to actually do that. Like, you can't just say that and get credit for it when you don't do that. And Joe Rogan he doesn't do that.
Impressive, Jedi. You might even have triumphed, but my victory is already complete. My plague has spread farther than you can imagine. Jedi Masters across the galaxy are succumbing to it as I speak. The plague binds these Masters to me. Hundreds of them. The heart and soul of your order.
Free those Masters, Morhage. Now!
And if I refuse, will you cut us down? Kill me, and you will kill every master I have ever infected. Everyone. Shielded or not, they are still bound to me. But what choice do you have? You cannot let me live, and I am deathless. Your shielding talent cannot harm me. You've lost.
No matter what, Parkanis will be freed from you, Morhage.
No! This body is mine! Damn you, Jedi! When my strength returns, no matter the years, I will destroy you.
I'm still alive. You spared me. My mind is clearer now. But it was your duty to kill me and destroy Morge.
Too many Jedi have been lost already, including Parkanis Tark.
Yes, Parkanis was lost. But perhaps he deserves another chance. I cannot return to the Order. But Tython has its hidden places, its forests. I could find peace there. I could go home. But first, Jedi, listen. Take this warning in exchange for my life. You can't trust the Order, or the Republic. You may be their heroine now, but they will abandon you too. Remember that.
We felt it. A massive shift in the Force. The Masters you saved have reported a sudden improvement in their condition. The plague is over, thanks to you. And I sensed Parkanis Tark for the first time in many years. How can that be?
When he comes back to Tython, he can answer all your questions.
We persuaded the Republic to divert a starship to your location, just in case. The crew can bring Vivicar back to us. Thank you for all you have done. The Jedi Order owes its survival to you. Please, return to us on Tython. We wish to thank you in person, and we have a special reward for you.
Right. So it seems like this whole like, oh my god, keeps doing that to me. This must be a bug with the recent update.
The trail for us today.
I love Canada.
Shut
like,
up.
I love the people. I just think they're going down a dark road with this guy.
Why do you think that though? I mean, like, here's the thing, because like, people that say this, like, take a step back and think about it. Like, Canada. Canada. Does Canada have a dictator? Is Canada, like, is their economy in the dumpster? Is Canada, like, what about Canada is like this dystopian place to you? Like, where do you get that from? Go visit Vancouver, go visit Montreal. Like, you think Canada is falling apart and collapsing and like a dystopian reality? No, it's doing okay. It's doing fine. Does it have issues? Yeah, but like everybody has issues. Everywhere has issues, right? This guy, Joe Rogan, has issues, I'm sure, in his personal life. Does that mean his whole life is a disaster? No, like, it's just like, have some perspective, have some proportionality. Canada is doing okay. Canada is a first world country. It's, you know, it's got a, you know, high earning, you know, the PPP, the purchase power parity's high. Where do you get the idea that it's like falling off a cliff, that it's a dystopian reality?
Government.
You know where you got it from? You got it from all the narratives that you got online, because the people that you listen to just cherry pick every little bad thing. You can convince anyone that anything is bad just by cherry picking every little possible bad thing, right? I have a Tacoma, right? It's a great truck. A lot of people think it's a great truck, but I'm sure I can look and find little things that make the Tacoma a bad truck. And if I only talk about the bad things, I can convince you that it's a terrible truck. Oh, the towing capacity is not as good as a Ford. You know, the Tacoma has a recall on, I don't know, let's look it up. Tacoma 3rd gen recalls. The rear axle, you know, has welding debris. You know, oh, there's a fuel pump recall on the Tacoma. It's a terrible truck, right? Oh, there's a brake hose. The brake hoses on the Tacoma aren't good. There's a recall on that. I mean, I don't know. It's hard to, because these are actually pretty good. It's hard to find. But like, if all you do is talk about every little negative thing and you spin everything in a negative way, like, yeah, you convince people that's a bad truck, but you're doing so by ignoring all the positives. You're not really doing a true calculus, doing a true like weighing of the pros and cons. You're just focusing on every little negative thing that you can nitpick. And that's Rogan. You know, the people that he surrounds himself, right-wingers, like these right-wing propagandists, they want to convince you that liberalism, liberals, Western society, everything is bad by cherry-picking like every little negative thing that they can nitpick and not, you know, giving credit to any of the positive things.
They allow polygamy now in Ontario. Yeah.
Polygamy? Like marrying multiple people? Isn't that what that means? Why is that a bad thing? Right? It's not my cup of tea. It may not be Rogan's cup of tea, but like, is that hurting people? Why is it like, why is that the end of the world?
They just passed a law that allow polygamy because they have so many Muslims there.
His hyper.
Okay, so his issue with polygamy is that it's a Muslim practice. So then the issue isn't, because I already know his mindset. He thinks that this means that the Muslims are abusing women. Because, yeah, like polygamy, the way it's practiced in a lot of cultures, can be kind of regressive and can be one of those ways where, like, they control women, right? And so his mind automatically goes to, oh, they allow polygamy because the Muslims are there, therefore the women that are involved in these polygamous relationships are being abused. Well, then your issue really isn't polygamy. Your issue is like a certain way that people are abusing polygamy. But even that, like, do we even know that that's the case? Like, is it the case that in Canada, um, like per capita, like is polygamy higher among Muslims? And among those Muslims that are practicing polygamy, are they being abusive about it, or is it just like a personal choice? And everybody involved in that scenario is doing okay, right? But he doesn't like. You don't even need to think that far ahead because he's already got like the stereotype in his mind of Muslims and their polygamy, and polygamy is bad, and so like your mind just kind of goes there and it stops.
Reality no longer has any real connection to classic reality. So when did Joe begin this psychic migration? Well, a few years ago he decided LA was the reason his life sucked. So he got the hell out of there, moved down to Austin, Texas.
You saw it during the George Floyd times in LA. Oh, yeah. When they were burning those cop cars on the highway, and I remember seeing that going, I gotta get the f out of here.
Oh, shit, he actually said it.
So they burned some cars on the highway, and that's the reason that he needed to flee LA. Don't get me wrong, I mean, I wouldn't want to live in LA. The it's too terrible for me. It's too hot. I don't really like kind of some of the consumerist culture that you find in LA. But the idea that LA is all bad because one time there was some protests over there, and one time, one person somewhere burned a car. Do you think maybe you're kind of over exaggerating and over fixating on one specific incident? Maybe?
When he realized he was
like, what does Joe Rogan think? Does Joe Rogan think that every single day and every weekend in LA people's cars are getting burned everywhere all the time? Or did that just happen that one time a few years ago and that's the only time that you can think of? You know what I mean? Like, and I know Joe Rogan doesn't even have the wherewithal to ask this question, but if I were to look up car set on fire in Texas, I guarantee you I'll find an example of it. Coppers Cove police respond to vehicle fire early. Police say no injuries. Okay, so I'm not looking only for cars that caught fire. I'm looking for examples of people who set a car on fire. Suspect starts a car fire. Granted, this might have happened after that show. Well, let's do this. Advanced search. We're going to set a time window. We're going to go, I don't know when that interview he was having with Bobby Lee was. Let's just assume it was before the election. Wait. Did I do this right? 2. Oh, we want 2. I didn't even choose a date. I'm such a smart person. I don't know. The 3rd. November 10th, 2023. Tesla car. Okay, caught fire. Wasn't set on fire. Okay, black family in Texas says car set on fire. Trump 20 painted on house due to BLM sign. Like, look at this. This is insane. This is worse than the example that Joe Rogan gave. This isn't somebody randomly setting a car on fire at a protest. This is like someone targeting a family and threatening them. But Joe Rogan doesn't know about this because the media didn't talk about it. And he thinks that it's only happening in LA and it's hyper bad in LA, and it's like even if me reading this, I don't think to myself like, oh, this represents the entire state. Like, no, this is an isolated incident that happened. Um, okay. Now, someone might ask themselves the question, is this staged, right? This looks too good to be true. Like, did someone stage this to make Trump supporters look bad? I mean, I have to say it's possible, but you're gonna set your like look at the damage here. You're gonna set your cars on fire. You're gonna burn your driveway. You're gonna burn your garage door like that, just to do that little thing. Hard for me to imagine. I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibility, but I mean, I wonder if I could find updated information on this case. How would I even keep track of this case? Do we have like a name or something? Jayla Gibson. Um, okay, and let's see if we have something a little bit more recent to see if there's been any updates to this particular case in the past year, let's say. Oh man, I'm probably looking for something a little too specific. This probably fell out of the media cycle and no one cares about it anymore, so there's probably not much reporting on it. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to find any information on it. Okay, well that's okay. If we could find even more examples of cars being set on fire in Texas, proves my point, which is that like he knows about the one car set on fire in LA because that's what the media showed him, but like, and it's an anecdote, and you can find anecdotes everywhere, right? Okay, these cars were charred in Texas, but the question is, was this set on fire on purpose, or was this the result of some sort of, like, I don't know, some car overheated for whatever reason, or maybe an electric car battery? The cause of the fire is unknown. Okay. I wish, it'd be nice if they had like a way for you to like, if they linked stories together in these news websites so that you can immediately go, okay, where's the updated version of the story at? And you can track it. Caused by vehicle crash. Okay. Takes multiple cars catch fire. Wait, catch fire. Shows same. Okay. Series of cars, fires, and heights may mean arsonist. So I mean, look, there's a lot of like I guess in this case they probably think it was arsonist. So like you can find these stories. You just don't know about them because you're being fed, anecdotes.
Still miserable in Austin. He had to get the hell out of there again. But he had nowhere else to go.
And this like get the hell out of there thing, like it's kind of falling flat because I don't know what great point that he's trying to like the author of this video is trying to make by saying that. There's a whole thing in comedy you're not supposed to repeat a joke more than 3 times, but I mean I think you could break that rule. All rules are made to be broken, right? But I don't think it has the effect that he thinks it does. Because, like, what am I supposed to take away from that? Oh, get the hell out of here. They gotta get the hell out of here. Everybody's gotta get the hell out of here. What point is he trying to make when he says that? Right now, it seems like he's very confident in repeating that point over and over and over again. And the important question when it comes to, like, rhetoric and propaganda and all that stuff like that is, has he earned it with the audience? Has he earned the credibility for making that point over and over again with the audience? Does the audience understand what he's saying? Does the audience get the point? I'm not sure, because I don't know what point he's trying to make when he says that.
So he began a full-on migration into his simulacrum. Because he's so rich and holds autocratic control over his entire simulacrum.
Did he ever explain what the simulacrum is? From my understanding, the simulacrum is basically just like a false reality kind of thing. And here's the thing, like you can use that term, right? But he's using it over and over again. He's got a lot of mileage over just using that term to sound fancy. Why doesn't he just say like fake false reality? For your average person that's watching, why don't you just say false reality? Because after a while, you're using simulacrum over and over and over again. It just kind of comes off as, I don't know, like I don't know what the right words are, like petty, like pretentious, pretentious. For what reason?
He can be the dictator.
Let's make sure, by the way, what is, let me make sure I understand what the simulacrum is. Simulacrum. Image or representation of someone or something. Okay, so I mean, it's not necessarily fake, but it is like an image, like a narrative, like a story that you tell yourself. Which, like, yeah, you can make that point, but like, why do you need to keep saying simulacrum over and over again? I don't think it's helping the message of your video. I don't think it's, you know, convincing to people who don't already just like hate Joe Rogan and stuff. Because the people who already hate Joe Rogan are gonna watch it and go like, oh yeah, he got him with that simulacrum talk. He got him with, oh, get out of here, that was so funny. You got him, man. Awesome, right? Because you want to. You want that to be the case. But the people who don't already agree with you, the people that you actually should be trying to reach, like, are you actually selling them on this idea? Are you actually explaining it well enough for them to latch onto it? I don't know. I'm not convinced.
Real comedian. Like the fact that he's a real comedian, one of the greats. And that the world as we know it is finished. It's the end of the age. Doomsday is upon us.
We are in Kali Yuga.
We are in Kali Yuga.
And the Hindus were very smart in their idea of, it was the Hindus, right?
Yes, the Hindus, yes.
They came up with this idea that they're...
I'm assuming the Kali Yuga is like the end times. I don't even, Kali Yuga? Often translate Age of Darkness, Age of Vice. It is the period of decline. What? Bro, like this whole thing, like, oh, we're too decadent? Joe Rogan? Joe Rogan, who fucking smokes weed all the time, talks about ayahuasca and shit like that, who came from a background for years of like, you know, living in like the most like, you know, quote unquote degenerate areas in the country. Joe Rogan all of a sudden buys into like, oh, the West is fallen because we're too decadent. Like, that Joe Rogan? Right? I mean, we're like, Joe Rogan is part of that culture. Joe Rogan has been part of that culture. Joe Rogan contributes to that culture now. So, like, how are you gonna castigate other people for it? Speaking of looking up words, I keep using that word castigate. Yeah, it is reprimand. It is, okay. Let me make sure I was using it right.
There are certain ages, almost unavoidable, of civilization.
Correct.
They go through these cycles.
He's bought into this whole like cyclical narrative that comes from Steve Bannon. That's what this is. He's just kind of he's connected it to other like conspiracy mythologies that he's latched onto over the years. But there's just I don't know that there's actually any evidence for this whole like cyclical theory of history. I think you have to kind of like twist the historical record to like curve fit that theory for you. I don't think there is actually like this nice and neat like cyclical nature to history that follows that. I don't think so. I think you have to cherry pick to make that point.
What is the period we're in now? Because it seems like it's coming to an end.
This is Kali Yuga, man. This is some weird shit that was predicted by the Bhagavad Gita. This is
Battle of the Gods, Ragnarok. Tell me.
This is what happens in cultures. Like,
and also like what the implication is that what follows after these sorts of periods is supposed to be a period of like conflict, war, and then that war and everything, like the next period that follows after in the cycle is a period of like calm and like productivity again, because basically the tensions, the frictions have been like resolved through conflict, through war. Like it boils over and it hashes itself out, right? But like the only reason that we need to have that conflict is because you guys keep pushing conflict. There is no cycle there other than what you make. There is no like natural like history that is like forcing that to happen. You are forcing that to happen. You are pushing for that to happen. Like, you know, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. It's like, oh, I just can't I just can't do anything. I just can't help myself. Like the world is so bad. My prospects for jobs are so bad. Everything's so bad, and like I can't do anything. And it's like, okay, have you looked for a job? No, because everything is so bad and everything's going in a bad direction. It's like, yeah, it's going in a bad direction because like you are choosing to take it in a bad direction. You could try to do something different, but you're not doing something different. It's not like the world, the powers that be, the cosmic powers and forces are pushing you this direction. You're just choosing to go in that direction and then telling yourself that it had to go in that direction. You know what I mean? It's so stupid. I don't know. I don't know.
It's almost inevitable.
He even has his own theory about what's driving.
It's almost inevitable. No, it's not. You guys just push for conflict, and then you convince yourself that it's not you doing it. It's just the universe, the cosmos that's doing it, and you're going along with it because the cosmos is, and you have to go along with it. Bro, you're doing it. You're the one doing it.
Driving
Stop.
us toward the end of the age.
Hard times create hard men.
Yeah,
hard men.
He's repeating like the whole Steve Bannon, cycle. Hard times create hard men. Hard men create good times. Whatever that stupid thing is. Who are the people that are creating the hard times right now? Because it's him, and it's his cohort. They're the ones that are doing it. The quote unquote hard men, in their mind, like the macho, men who are willing to like get their hands dirty and take charge and everything. Like, you guys are the ones that are causing the hard times. Society was on a pretty good trajectory until like the reactionary movement. It really was, right? We do revisionist history and everything. Things were on a positive trend. We do this thing as a society where we can be on a positive trend, but people won't look at where we are with respect to where we were before. They look at where we are with where they wish we were. And then they decide like, oh, we're going in a negative direction because we're not where we wish we were. And then they do things that cause us to kind of like go backwards. And it's like, no, we were in a positive direction. It wasn't where we wanted to be because we've never been exactly where we wanted to be. We were moving towards that, but we were moving towards that. And then you guys decided that we have to like go backwards and do all this stupid shit that pulls us away from, a more positive direction and future.
Soft times. Soft times create soft men. Soft men create...
Oh man, Joe Rogan is so smart. That was so wise. That was so like the information he just said was so niche. It was so obscure. Like he had to travel to the Himalaya mountains and climb a mountain with a Sherpa and take ayahuasca and beat his body for 15 days in order for him to arrive on like this sage knowledge that he said. Oh wait, no, he didn't. He's literally just repeating like the most common talking point from the right for like the past couple years that exists as a narrative, and that's it. They're not pointing to any data. They're not pointing to like some pattern that they're actually showing throughout history is consistent. They're just repeating it over and over again, and it sounds fancy. That's it.
Hard times. We are now around soft men in hard times.
In his reality, he's a hard man in a world run by soft men who have allowed the destruction to happen. He's been yelling about that cliff we're all supposedly headed towards, but he feels like nobody's listening. So
I gotta speed this up because I'm getting a little bit... I kind of want to just like get to the point already.
now he feels like the destruction must happen in order to restore the world back to its proper state.
I don't think we're going to wake up. I think it's going to take something like natural disaster or some real event, some 9/11 type event. It's just, I don't know where it ends other than a wake up. And a wake up is like a meteor hit.
As you can observe with your own eyes, the soft, doughy collection of spheres stacked on top of each other thinks he's actually a hard man. But obviously, he's the soft man, making everything worse. He's one of the softest men of all time. Never worked a day in his life.
I mean, well, he's making the point that I was making, basically, in a different way. I wouldn't say this, though, and say, like, oh, he doesn't work a hard day in work in his life, but, like, because I think he did work in construction when he was younger with his dad and everything. I don't know exactly what he was doing. Maybe he was only doing, like, project management stuff. But all that said, like, you don't need to make that point. You don't need to assume that. You could just point out, like, in this stage of his life for the past couple of years, it's not like he's on his hands and knees picking grapes like the immigrants that he sicked the Republicans on to abuse, he lives a pretty cushy life now. And, does he work hard? Sure, probably, to fill out like the different projects that he has and to keep his schedules and everything and book people and prepare for shows. Yeah, sure. But it's not like he's doing hard manual labor or anything like that. He's not doing like the hard man kind of job that is envisioned in that narrative. He's doing the soft labor, and there's nothing wrong with the soft labor, but he has a problem with it. He's the one that has an issue with quote unquote soft men. So like what are you doing, bro? Like you're not out in the fields busting your ass. Like you work one of the soft jobs for you to be saying that those are like the people who are destroying society.
Whines and complains for hours on his podcast over the dumbest shit year after year.
How dare we say Merry Christmas? How dare
Cries hysterically for no reason and thinks sitting in a sauna is some kind of achievement in overcoming adversity.
Imagine thinking that everybody else has a problem with you saying Merry Christmas. Imagine walking up to a group of people like you're working, you're like, Merry Christmas, guys, and they're like, oh yeah, you too, happy holidays. And then you walk out of the office just fuming like, I can't believe those fucking liberals didn't say Merry Christmas back to me. They're trying to outlaw Christmas. They're trying to take Christmas away from us. And it's like, bro, like nobody cares. The fuck is wrong with you? Like, it's all in your head. Like you think everybody's out to get you. Chill out. Jeez.
For the record. Is that fake? He gets duped constantly by the most obviously fake stories, photoshops, and AI images.
Fact-checked volcanoes.
That's the other part that's so comically funny and crazy to me is that the stuff, like he's totally right, like the stuff that these people fall for oftentimes is not even, like I could kind of understand if it was like good propaganda stuff that's like hard to like see through and everything, but like a lot of times they're falling for shit that's just so obviously stupid and not real. For example, like the oh, I'm so glad he brought up. I'm going to talk about this in a second. But like the idea when Joe Rogan was talking about like, oh, this school had like kitty litters for kids to, I don't know, poop and pee in or whatever, and it's like you should know, like if you're not a fucking dumbass, if you're not like the most gullible person in the world, when you read a story like that, you should be skeptical. You should think like, that sounds too good to be true. Let's look this up. Maybe that did happen, but this just sounds so off the wall and sounds so fake that we should look it up. But the fact that he didn't question that says a lot about his mentality, that he would just run with that and think that, like, not even stop to think for a second, wait, is this real? Okay. Now, on the volcano thing, this is something that I think about a lot, which is a lot of the talking points regarding climate change are literally just, they're not even clever talking points. They're not even nuggets of truth. They're literally just lying. And you can look up online and find, like, for example, this one, that volcanoes produce more CO2 than human activity. Like, you just look it up, but the people that repeat these lines of argument, they never bother looking this stuff up. And it's the same thing with, like solar output. Sometimes they'll make the argument like, oh, well, climate is increasing because right now we live in a period where the solar output is high. But then you look this up and it's like, no, actually, we're in a period where the solar output is low. But you just heard it online and you repeated it and you never bothered to like question it at all. You know what I mean? It's so frustrating. I don't know. The frustrating and funny thing to me is like you are always like 3 seconds away from finding out what is and isn't bullshit, and you pat yourself on the back for being like for finding all the hidden truth and finding the truth that like all the liberals that you look down on couldn't find. And it's like you couldn't even Google for 3 seconds to make sure that this was the case or not. You just repeated it. You just internalized it because someone else told you because you're a sucker.
Reuters is on your ass. Idiot. Yeah. And somehow he considers himself one of the greatest comedians of all time. It's embarrassing. It's clear and undeniable that he's living in some sort of...
Yeah, I mean, if he wasn't such a douchebag, I wouldn't be saying this, but back in the day, like he's never really been a good comedian. He's never really been known for comedy. Even now, he's not known for comedy. He's kind of a failed comedian, which is okay. You don't have to be good at everything. I mean, he's become a successful person in life, but just not really in comedy, and that's okay. You could still enjoy comedy. You could still do it as a hobby. You could still surround yourself with other comedians because you like that space. But yeah, Joe has just not ever really been good at comedy. He's not a particularly funny guy.
We've been awaiting your return. Please, step forward. You have saved untold lives through your defeat of Lord Vivica and the destruction of the plague.
There's a title reserved for the most prestigious among us, whose wisdom and skill safeguard the galaxy. It hasn't been bestowed in thousands of years.
But you have proved worthy. Now, the Council names you SWTOR, Warden of the Order.
I will do all I can to live up to this honor.
I never imagined your potential would take you so far.
And not a moment too soon. We have need of you. We have received word that the Republic is facing a new threat.
I stand ready for anything, Master.
We need time to prepare a war council. The Supreme Chancellor himself will be attending.
Take time to rest. And you should record your journey in the Jedi archives. History must know of your actions. Return to us when you feel ready. For now, the entire Order will know there is a new SWTOR among us.
We hunt side by side, Quaizen. Whatever my score, you share it.
I'm sorry, I was muted this entire time. Yeah, I'm gonna cut the stream right now because I'm getting kind of tired. It's getting pretty late. We're at the 25-minute mark. We'll pick this up next time I stream again, and we'll try to finish it out. So far, my impression of the video is this. This video has made the rounds online. A lot of people are like championing this video, saying it's really good. I'm gonna be honest with you. I think the production is really great. I gotta give props to that. Right, this takes a lot of time, a lot of effort. I know that he probably wrote a script for this and everything. I want to give a lot of props to that. And it looks good. It looks pretty. I like these like color theory and everything. That said, like the message, the theme so far, okay, we still have another hour to go, but so far, I think that this isn't super effective rhetorically for people who don't already agree with you. I think if you already agree, or if you already dislike Rogan and Elon, it's going to be one of those things where it's just confirming your biases and you're going to give extra credit and charitability to these arguments because you want them to be true and you just want to dunk on Rogan and Elon. There's some good points in here, don't get me wrong. But I think that if you're trying to convince people who don't already agree with you, if you're trying to convince people who may be Rogan fans or maybe on the fence, I think it kind of comes off as petty. I think it comes off as a bit long-winded and pretentious. And yeah, I mean, I think there's nuggets of truth in here. I think that there is a good point that he's making in here. I just think that it comes off a little bit, the way he's delivering it is a little petty and pretentious when it doesn't really need to be. But yeah, anyways, sorry it's taken me so long to stream. I have kind of put the whole YouTube thing on a bit of a hiatus for like past week or two. But we'll get going again. I know I got a lot of like, you know, YouTube or video reactions for like Andor and stuff to put out. I gotta throw another show in the rotation. I have way too much Star Wars stuff on here right now. I need to do something different. I think we should probably try to work in Kingdom Hearts. And I want to do a show other than, or a movie other than Andor. We will be doing the film noir movies. Not all of them right now, but at least like one at a time. So I think maybe this weekend, if I could find some time, I'd like to do, you know, I need to catch up on the Andor reactions, and I'd like to see if maybe I can get a film noir movie in there. But I want another TV show. in a TV show that is not fucking Star Wars, okay? So I would like to watch Handmaid's Tale. I'm in the mood for that. It's a very different tone and pace and style and everything, and I could use that. You know, I get burned down on Star Wars stuff myself. But the thing about Handmaid's Tale is it's like, what is it, 6 seasons long? And I'm just not sure if I want to, like, it'd be nice if I could find something where I can wrap it up in one season and move on to the next thing. So let me think about that, but I definitely want to throw something else in the rotation that you know, diversifies the content a little bit, so it's not all Star Wars. Anyways, you know, remember, subscribe. You can tell I'm getting tired. Like, share, subscribe. You know, if you have friends that would find this content interesting or they like my analysis and stuff, like shoot my stuff their way. We are trying to grow, of course. Get the word out there. Let's get some different voices in the space. If you don't like the whole Rogan sphere and everything, we need alternative voices. So it's not really about me, okay? I'm doing it for you guys, okay? I'm being a little bit cheeky, but yeah. Anyways, I'll catch you guys next time. Have a good one. Bye bye.